Hey, what's up, everybody? It's time to go into the second half of the round of 4 here. Best is waiting for the winner of one of these two players who's going to be duking it out tonight, SnOw versus SoulKey.
Oh, sorry, I was still muted there. Yeah, SnOw versus SoulKey.
Tastosis.
I'm like, no, you're going to cast this one. This doesn't even have a Terran player. There's no Terran players left, man. I don't even want to take part in this.
We load up the Discord call and start this recording. I'm like, he's gone. I don't know. I guess I'm solo casting this one. I don't know what happened.
That would be so funny. And then I come back. I'm like, why? I was pulled away. Why did you cast? Like, we have to redo it. Anyways, yeah, SnOw versus SoulKey, this is going to be a great match. They've had really fantastic matches against each other in the past. So, like, I feel like there is a lot of potential here either way. I will never forget that Blitz Y game where SnOw didn't mine from one of his gases for, like, the whole game. It was one of the closest things we've ever seen, SnOw versus SoulKey there. I think he is really one of the only players that has potential to beat SoulKey. I think it's like the Zerg players, because ZVZ, Rain, Mini, SnOw, and Best, I think, are the only players that have any real chance of dethroning SoulKey. I don't think a single Terran can do it. And yeah, I think it's a very short list, but SnOw is right up there.
Yeah, I mean, SnOw is so strong. He's so scary. He really worked on his PvZ as well. There was a period where we kind of thought maybe he was just going to be solid at PvT. And that was always going to be sort of his struggle matchup, kind of like SoulKey had with ZVZ for a while, where it's like he was good at the other two, but couldn't quite figure that mirror matchup out. But SnOw has absolutely improved on that. He's got some great pushes. He plays a very, I guess you could call an honorable PvZ. You know, he doesn't do much cheeses, just tries to macro up, roam the map, get some good storms, try to close it out, and it's going to be interesting to see how SoulKey tries to handle it.
And as you could see on those stats there, the last two round of 4 SoulKey eliminated SnOw. So this is an ongoing problem for SnOw. It's a hurdle that he has to overcome. We don't know. SnOw could legitimately just be the second best player in the world, but he just keeps hitting SoulKey, so we can't really tell, you know? And I think a lot of people are on that boat. When you watch his online results, he's god tier, you know? Like, him and Light are online are just, other than SoulKey, completely unkillable. And so, you know, this might be the coming out party. Who knows? Maybe SnOw takes over what SoulKey has done.
It's going to be a lot of fun to see what kind of games these guys bring us here. Remember that SoulKey has won the last 3 ASLs. Like, that's crazy. That's unprecedented. He could win this one. You know, people kind of talk about Flash as de facto Bonjour. Like, right now, it's looking like SoulKey is hands down the best player in the world, especially if he can win it here now. We do have Flash coming back next season, which will be so hype, unless there's any plot twists in our future here. So I'm very curious to see if SoulKey can win here and take this whole thing, and if so, what happens when Flash re-enters the scene.
This is kind of interesting. Looks like Scan and Barracks, as well as Jadong and Action, all think that SnOw is going to win. Everyone else thinks it's SoulKey. Some of them one-sided. Bisu thinks SoulKey is going to 4-0. I bet you he practiced with Bisu a lot, and Bisu's like, fuck this guy. He is unbeatable. No way.
Can't stop him.
That's scary, though. If Bisu thinks it's going to be a 4-0, like, I mean, he knows his stuff for this matchup, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it also might just be, Bisu just got smashed over and over, and he's like, no, there's no way that SnOw can do what I can't do.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a fun one, man. I mean, we really cannot ask for a better PvZ. This is going to be so insightful to see what the greatest minds in the matchup are capable of doing.
It's time for the second semi-finals match of ASL Season 19. Who will become a hero today? Let's call the first protagonist up on stage. It's SnOw. And his opponent, challenging for a 4th championship in a row, the Iron Wall. It's SoulKey. ASL Season 19. The main character that will move on to the grand finals will be decided on this stage here. Let's talk to the players ahead of today's match. SnOw, anytime you make the semi-finals, it's SoulKey. And again, it is SoulKey. The Iron Wall, the Iron Wall, the Iron Wall, and again the Iron Wall. What do you think about this?
일단
Well,
참
it's
재밌는
certainly
매치고요.
curious.
네, 제가 여태
Up until
졌기
now, I would
때문에
always end up losing. So today,
이번에
just
한
one
번은
time.
좀
Isn't it
이겨야 되지
my
않나
obligation
싶어서
to win, I thought?
준비해왔거든요. 그래서
So I
오늘
prepared
보여드릴게요.
diligently and I want to show that today. Didn't best yesterday show that things are different? Things are different for sure this time. How motivating was that for you?
근데 어제 보니까 좀
Oh, yesterday was
감동적이긴
ever so
하더라고요.
inspiring. Back in the day, I would have been like, why are you crying? But it happened to me as well, so I understand him well enough. It was really nice to see.
저도 그런
I want to
기분을
get to
한번
experience such a feeling too.
맛보고 싶긴 해요.
But your round of 4 opponent is SoulKey, and over the last 2 seasons you went win-win, loss against him, losing and losing in a row. Can you overcome this SoulKey that now has 8 wins in a row against you?
쉽지 않은 상대지만 그래도
He's not an
진다는
easy
생각으로
opponent, but
하면은
regardless, if I approach this with a losing mindset, there is no way I win. So I came here today with victory in mind. I'll make it happen. Right, and SoulKey. Those last 2 times you defeated SnOw to advance to the finals, both times where you claimed the championship. You're meeting again. SnOw says he came prepared. What do you say?
좀
I feel
미안해요.
sorry.
두 시즌
I've already knocked him out in the semifinals twice now, and us meeting again like this, I feel sorry for him. Once again, SnOw can't go to the finals, SoulKey says. He's already apologizing.
저도
I'll make
미안하게
it so
해줄게요.
I'm the one feeling sorry for him. So are you certain that you're prepared to stop this record, this 4-peat, from being set?
근데 진짜 이게 한 사람이 계속
If one guy
우승하면은
just keeps on winning,
그게 좀
that just
잘못된
won't
거라고.
do.
그래서 사실 근데
But it's
그
not his
사람이
fault.
잘못한 게 아니고 그
It's
같이
the
나오는
fault of those
선수들의
other
잘못이에요.
players who compete alongside.
누군가는
So I think
꼭
someone,
꺾어야 된다고
regardless of who it is,
생각하고
finally has to take him
저는
down.
한번 또 다시
I will try my luck
던져보겠습니다.
one more time. A victory on this stage means moving on to the grand final. A grand final that will take place at a different venue. A venue that is Play Expo. Play Expo? Play X4 Pete? Wow! 4 Pete? Honestly, we're having a laugh right now, but 2 Protoss are waiting on stage. 2 are waiting in line. What do you think? Is the championship a done deal?
아니 뭐 근데 그 정도까지는 아닌데.
Not to that extent, but
아무래도 결승전
if the grand final
푸푸전이 되면
is a
좀
PvP,
재미가
it's
없잖아요.
no fun.
그래서 제가 올라가
I will advance to the finals and make it more entertaining. It's not about 4 championships in a row, it's that PvP is boring. SnOw, what do you think about that?
제가 올라가면 재밌게
If it's me advancing, I can make it interesting. And will you be able to take down best?
근데 그거는 아직 생각
I've
안
not
하고
thought
있죠.
about
오늘
that.
사강만
So far,
생각하고
I've
왔거든요.
focused on
그래서
just the round of 4.
일단 김민철 선수를
The
이기는 게
priority
가장
is to
우선이고.
take down SoulKey first. Right, and to close things out, please address SoulKey.
이번에는
This time,
꼭 무너뜨리도록
I'm taking you
하겠습니다.
down. And SoulKey, a word for SnOw, please. Once again, I shall not fall. I will win. Right, we're waiting for this last semi-final. Who will be the one moving on to the grand final stage? Please put your hands together and let's kick off this semi-finals match.
준우승자 출신 선수들이 준비한 죽음의 죽은
프로토스 상대로는 지지하는 그런 모습을 최고 수준의 프로토스전을
리버도기가 죽질 않아요. 뒤로 올라가면서 리버 터집니다. 리버 터져. 리버 터지고 다 터져.
달리기 셔틀.
드래곤 아케이드. 드래곤 아케이드가 나와요. 드래곤 아케이드. 신컨트롤 시즌5의 한 정윤종을 잡아내고 4강 진출. 장윤철은 또 만났어요. 새 시즌 연속으로 만나고 있습니다. 저 위에서 역사하면서요.
바이오맨. 와, 야 진짜 많습니다. 바이오맨. 차분하게 기다렸다가 잡아오고 줍니다.
아무리 깨졌어요.
멘탈을 지키기가 힘드네요.
끝판왕 김민철 4강 진출.
다전제 심연등을 만들어냈습니다. 최초의 기록이에요. 차원이 다른 선수, 과연 이 선수를 누가 다전제에서 이길 수 있을까? 그렇습니다. 머리반! 머리골 앞바닥 쪽으로 여기 공야무입니다.
선수의 11년간의 그 기록을 깨고 상황이 지어났습니다.
All right, guys, let's get into this. SnOw versus SoulKey. Dude, I'm so excited to do this deep dive into PvZ.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, they have like such a history against each other. Some of the best PvZs I've ever seen have been between these two. That Whiteout game always comes back to mind. The game on Blitz Y especially comes back to mind. I think it's going to be a great series. But does SnOw actually have what it takes to beat someone on this type of tear? Like, SoulKey is making history right now.
SoulKey is usurping the position of Flash with these ASL wins. The only thing that is keeping him from basically being considered the GOAT right now is the fact that Flash isn't playing an ASL. But, I mean, 3 ASL wins in a row is insane. It's unheard of.
It truly is. And in fact, I don't believe Flash had 3 in a row, right? I think he did 2, skipped 1, got another one, something like that. And what's he have? 4 ASLs, something like that. And then a top 4 with random, which actually counts as like 3 ASL victories. Similar level of prestige, I think. But like, yeah, if SoulKey wins here tonight against SnOw, I think he is favored going against Best. And, you know, might win that 4th in a row, which would be absolute madness.
The finals will be held at the Kintex Arena. It's going to be on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. So if you want to go and join that, you got to buy a ticket. There's definitely going to be a lot more seats. It's a pretty spacious venue, but it's ASL, and these things tend to sell out pretty fast. In fact, it may already be sold out, being completely honest here.
That's a real possibility. I think especially with Best making the finals, he's got a lot of fans. And that just
100%.
It makes the finals so exciting because, like, it's such a long time coming for him to win a championship. And I hope he's able to do it no matter who advances here today, but it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, so this is the second to last day of the tournament here. It's going to be SnOw versus SoulKey, and the winner will be going up against Best. I think no matter who gets there, it's going to be so fun. We haven't had a PvP finals in a long time, by the way, not since Reign's SnOw, so
yeah,
that would kind of be a nice change of pace, too.
That would be a lot of fun. Looking at these two matchups, don't read too much into the percentage here for SnOw, but read a lot into the percentage for SoulKey. SnOw actually had a period of like 11 years where he didn't win a single PvZ game in the pro scene. That was in the Kespa days, then it followed him to ASL actually for years before he finally started to get really good at the matchup. And now he's fantastic. He's one of the best PvZ players in the world, just to make it clear. Those 24 wins, like if we take from his first win to now, his win rate would be insane, like 70% in the matchup.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, he's really overcome quite a bit. So even though this score right now looks like it's going to be an obvious SoulKey win, I think SnOw's got a really good shot of taking this. Sometimes these stats can be very misleading because the game's now so old. So like losses from, 7 or 8 years ago are counted.
And when you see a match like this, look at that. My God. So 3-13. Normally you'd look at that and say, well, this guy is just dominated by that guy. But SnOw continues to grow. He wants this challenge. He said that. He wants this challenge.
Yeah.
He wants to prove himself here. And I think that that's the right type of mindset. If he is able to do it, that is truly impressive. Because SoulKey he's not a brick wall. He's like an iron wall. Like, he's a wall made out of black holes, Tasteless. We don't think you can even get through it. Okay?
Dude, it's crazy how good SoulKey is. And by the way, if SnOw can dominate in PvZ, and this would be like the highest accomplishment, to beat SoulKey after he's been on a 3 ASL victory tear, that would really prove that SnOw has even more cemented his position as the greatest Protoss player in the world of all time. Because his PvT is the best, hands down.
Yep.
Everybody agrees. It's not even up for debate.
Yep.
His PvP is god tier. He doesn't seem to lose to anybody anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And then, what stands in his way? PvZ. Well, this is the ultimate challenge here now to take on SoulKey.
It is, and I guess this is kind of, in a lot of ways, the final boss here for him. The thing is, what SoulKey's doing right now, we almost thought SnOw was going to do for a little bit there because his win rate was so high. He actually warped the pro scene, like in between ASL seasons once, where it was like his win rate was over 90%. It was like the highest win rate we've ever seen, especially against Terran. But he's yet to win that championship, and he's really been stopped by SoulKey for the most part. So, as you can see, look at that, man. Round of 4 both these other times. And then his last two going 1-3 and 0-3 against Hero before that, man. Ouch. Hasn't won a best of 5 or better against Zerg since Action back in Season 8.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it had been that long. So this really is the one thing he's got to overcome.
Well, I think that can be said basically for anyone at this point. This man right here. He's the thing, the guy that everyone needs to overcome.
It's crazy because, when he finally won an ASL, we were like, yeah, we were saying this forever. He looked so good. Then he won another one, and it was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's quite the run. Now he won a third one, and it's like, oh, you're the best player there is right now. This is crazy. Now it's kind of this whole thing is who can take SoulKey out. So this is going to be a super exciting match.
And part of this is, too, the way that we do it is if you win, you're in charge of group selection. You get to pick first, and you get to swap at the end. I mean, he showed brilliance in swapping Light to his group. Who the hell puts Light in their group? Mini, and then he loses. But SoulKey did it because he knows he just can't lose to Terran. At this moment, he can't.
Yeah.
He doesn't lose to Terran. It doesn't occur. So, like,
no more Terrans in this ASL either.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's too bad for him, actually. I'm sure he was hoping Light would win. He's like, damn, I want to 4-0 the finals. Like, and it might actually end up being something like that. But yeah, here with only Protoss players left, it is going to be a bit tougher for him, especially with their skill in this matchup. We're seeing every stat you could ever hope to see here. My God.
Yeah, a lot of stats coming in here. But this is going to be a fun match. I'm really excited to see how it's going to be approached. What are the foundational moves that SnOw is going to bring here? How cheesy is SoulKey going to be? Does Zerg have the option to Hydra Bust? They've got, the luxury of staying back and just macroing. Is this going to be mass Hydras into Mutas? Is this going to be more of a Turtled Lurker style? Are we even going to have some of these rushes into Hive with Cracklings and Ultralisks? There's a lot of ways to play PvZ on both sides.
It's very true. I hope that we see some really interesting things from SnOw. Who did we see go Corsair Reaver on this map? It was Mini, right? On Metropolis? Did we see Mini do that?
I believe so.
You remember it was like he didn't even scout, and then he went like Corsair Reaver and had just a dominating game?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I think that was Mini. I might be misremembering.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Honestly, something like that, I'd love to see something like that out of SnOw. Like, he is so good with Reavers, man. If he can get that Reaver used in some of these matchups, that would be cool.
Yeah, generally the Reaver in this matchup isn't used until late game. But there are some exceptions. There's some ways to get Reavers out early on. But it's usually a harder game for the Protoss to make that work. It's just so much safer to get that Templar tech. But I mean, hey, let's see. Let's see what he's got. I think at a best of 7, I almost can't believe we're doing best of 7s, by the way, at ASL now. It's so many games.
Yeah.
There's so many possible ways the game could turn out now that you really have to come in with like a huge range of play.
Well, I think that's something both these guys can do. We know SoulKey has probably the biggest range of every single player. He mixes in absolutely everything. So when you ask, like, oh, which style are we going to see? Well, how many games are we going to see? I wouldn't be surprised if we see, let's say it goes 7 games. I bet you we see 5 completely different styles out of him. I bet you have like 2 3-hatch Hydra builds and then like 5 just random different stuff.
Yeah, like 2-hatch layer and then
who knows?
So, macro. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do in the matchup, man. All right, well, we're going to start this off on Metropolis. It'll then be Eclipse, Dominator, Death Valley, Deja Vu, Polestar, and Radeon if we do get to map 7. And guys, we're ready to do this. Let's find out who's going on to face off against Best, the finals of the ASL. Okay, in the upper right here is SnOw, in the bottom right is SoulKey. As always, guys, consider signing up for the Patreon. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. This is kind of where the internet's at, you know? It's the fans can connect directly with the creators. If you want to support us in our endeavor to keep the history of StarCraft alive, you can do so at patreon.com/ASL English.
Yeah, thank you very much for everyone who has supported thus far. And definitely do check it out if you haven't yet. All right.
And so, in this game, we're going to see what kind of fast expand build it's going to be from SnOw. I'd be very surprised if we have any one-basing, but SnOw has maybe like twice in ASL done that before. But this game's not going to be one of them. He's going to send the probe down here, and it looks like it could be forge opening. Generally, it's a forge opening if you scout with the probe after the pylon instead of after the gateway.
And he'll find SoulKey first here, so that's probably best-case scenario for the gateway opener, right? So, or no. Sorry, for the Forge opener, does SoulKey, like, how often does he go pool first in the matchup?
A decent amount, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, and he's going to do it this time around. This looks like it's an overpool build. I think that there's a chance that SnOw wanted to just go for Nexus first, too. That's another alternative way to play. You know, we talk about Forge first and cannons, but you can also scout them and then try to just play into a greedy Nexus. So he's going to make the Forge later because he can time it out exactly when the cannon's going to finish and just have a couple extra minerals mined there from that probe back at home. And he's going to be going with that more modern wall-in, the one where the Forge is pushed back and the gateway is pushed forward. And it's kind of funny to see the wall-ins change in this game. You know, every once in a while, you think things in Brood War are kind of set in stone, and then someone starts to do something and everybody copies it. And you know, the Forge at the entrance of the Protoss' base has always been a bit of a dilemma because you need to get +1 attack and you eventually need to get the 2 armor upgrades. But, you know, Hydras can run up with range and shoot it down. So what's happened now is they put the Forge back so that it can be surrounded by cannons, and they're very willing to lose the gateway. They don't care because the gateway can be remade. The gateway's not upgrading anything. And that's why you see, for instance, in this position, the cannon above the Forge instead of behind it.
You know, once you said that, I've seen it everywhere. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like every single PvZ I cast right now on my private channel or here, it's like exactly as you said. Everyone's really going out of their way to protect that Forge. Who cares about the gateway? And it's done well for people. You know, it feels like PvZ is in an okay position. You know, we definitely have times where metas shift and matchups seem really tough. Like right now, Terran vs. Zerg seems very tough. And in the past, we've definitely had times where Protoss vs. Zerg seemed really, really tough. But it seems like in a very good spot right now. We have several styles on both sides. We have a wide variety of players doing well in it. And yeah, I just think it feels like it's in a good place. And these little things built on, like protecting your Forge really well, really help to work towards that.
So in this game, you know, it's going to be a bit of a slow start. He did have some probes to block. By the way, in case you guys saw, the probe was attacking the Forge. The reason why you do that is that it's much harder for the Lings to kill that probe. If you have probes just sitting there and Lings attack them, the probe like gets pushed out of the way. And so it'll create an opening. Whereas if you make it attack one of your own structures, it won't move even if Lings attack it. So that's the reason why he does that. And from here on out, it's up to SnOw to run around with the probe and basically try to identify, is there any kind of rush, any kind of cheese, anything weird coming my way? You know, do I see Hydras thrown down? Do I see, like, for instance, Ling's speed? Is that done? That means he might be trying to hide some kind of tech.
Yeah, and I want to just expand on what you said just for a moment for people that don't get it. Because there's a gather and return cargo on the command card for workers, they don't have hold position, and they don't have patrol. So those two things have been taken off. They can be given those commands if selected with other units, but before that Zealot's out, it's the only way to make sure the probe doesn't move.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. The probe can hold position, but it has to be done from the command card of another unit like a Zealot. And so it's like one of those, like, if you don't know, you're never going to do it. This game is just rich with all sorts of little secrets. And so he's going to go for the Stargate. This is all very standard. He is rushing forward with the 2 Zealots. And I think he's going to try to run up the ramp. Now, there's no Ling speeds. These Lings, excuse me, are not that scary. He wants to come down here. He's going to spot the Lair and the Spire. And it looks like he wants to try to dive in on some drones. No, never mind. He's going to try to run around to the other side of this.
Oh, nice control. I thought he was going to get one of those surrounded, but actually gets him back behind the minerals. So that'll be a bit annoying for SoulKey to deal with. And notice how he waits to kill one so he can surround the other. Really good control there from SoulKey. Runs away the drones at the natural as that Zealot comes in for some hits as well. So hasn't lost any workers as of yet, but obviously a lot of Zerglings being taken down.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised this is going this well here for SnOw. Like, I feel like SoulKey's probably the best in the world at never getting into this position, but here we are. The Zealots are being fractioned off into different directions, and they're taking really good fights with the Lings.
Well, still harassing the drones over here as well. That's going to be very, very annoying to deal with. And in fact, SoulKey's decided to just fight with those drones. Has to be careful not to lose any here. I love it. I love it going back behind those minerals, making it harder for the drones to actually fight. And look at that. That's like a lot of lost mining time. Oh, God. He runs in with Speedlings, gets around the cannon immediately here. A little bit dangerous, trying to go up to the main base. Great probe blocking. But 4 Speedlings get in. That is dangerous.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where, and SoulKey's so smart, he just knows, oh, you're probably not going to have this area blocked, so I can just come here with a huge counterpunch, which is exactly what he did. The Corsair is going to turn around. It did get 1 kill on the Overlords. And these Lings are here for now. I mean, it's going to be very hard to get rid of them. He's making cannons over here in the kind of center of his base. But this is a lot of lost mining time. Meanwhile, Mutalisks are out. Don't forget that with no cannon finished, I mean, the Mutas could come in there and actually start to kill probes, especially if they can take that cannon out before it's done.
Kind of a dirty position right now. The Scourge come in, do pick off a Corsair. The Muta's helping to get that cannon as well. And he's going to be able to kill this Corsair. Dude, SoulKey has made this game dirty so quickly here. Very chaotic position here for SnOw to try to hold.
Yeah, the 3 Mutas are still hitting that cannon. I think it's going to be enough damage. They can take it out. The Scourge will. Are they going to connect them to that Corsair? Great control by SnOw. But there's no cannons over this position right now. If he can't get a couple cannons up here, there's nothing that you can do. I mean, the Mutas will eventually just win this fight. The Scourge are enough of a threat that the Corsair can never really sit and actually fight the Mutalisks. Now we have 2 Scourge out here. So, I mean, I'm worried that SnOw might just die here, Tastosis.
Yeah, he made that emergency Dragoon, which is never a good sign for Protoss when you have to make a Dragoon early. And SoulKey is just leaning on him. These types of games are so frustrating to play, but when you see them executed, like, damn, man, SoulKey has just, like, jumped on SnOw. He had that little bit of tempo advantage, and he's finishing him off right now.
I think we're almost done, Tastosis.
Yeah.
I just don't see a world where you recover. There's enough Mutalisks out here that they can kill the damage. They can, you know, shoot them down before they can actually finish. And you were right when you pointed out that Dragoon. Like, it's never good when you see a Dragoon made before, like, there's a Templar out, usually, in situations like this. Like, but you need something that hits air, something that you can use to kind of micro in the fights.
Wow.
And that's going to be it. SnOw loses. After doing a bunch of great damage, SoulKey sensed weakness back at home and decided, okay, we're going to do a huge Ling counterattack, and we're going to never let a cannon be complete in your natural ever again.
It was so well done. You know, even just seconds later or slightly worse control, and SnOw ends up holding. So just fantastic execution there from SoulKey, showing again his gigantic range of play. The guy can do anything.
He's so strong, man. By the way, he really sees weaknesses in matchups where other people don't see it. Like, I think almost any other Zerg would just be back licking their wounds. But he knew, don't even chase this Zealot. There's nothing walling this in back at home. There's no Zealot. The second Zealot pops out, not enough. The Lings come through, and they dogpile on the cannon and then run right up the ramp. And it's like, this is sometimes all you need, because the threat of the Lings in the main may cause a weakness over here at the natural later. And so he's just being enough of a headache, just enough of a nuisance that he was able to basically remove Protoss from the mid game before we ever got to a proper PvZ.
And SnOw was still pretty on top of things. He pulled back that one Corsair. Looks like this one got pulled back as well. But yeah, he didn't get the extra cannons up in time. If he had like 2 more cannons, he would have been really far ahead. Like, I think he would have probably ended up winning, because SoulKey was super low on drones here. He had 1 drone at his natural this entire time. He was mining from 2 gas. So his mineral income was almost nil.
Yeah, the Zealots in the main were trying to kill the Zerglings in the main, and so there wasn't anything to protect this one cannon. And then, you know, the Corsairs are supposed to beat Mutalisks and Scourge, but you need enough of them. And when they're coming out one at a time, the Scourge will just chase him down. There's no way to actually protect the cannon. So he even tries to come in here, kind of jukes and jives around, eventually runs back. But if there's no cannons finished here, the Mutas can just, you know, wreak havoc over in this position.
And I love even the Mutas flying up to hit some of those Zealots. Just awesome to see. Very well done from SoulKey. Wins game 1, but I don't think SnOw is going to be perturbed. It was a pretty good opener from him, but he just barely didn't defend SoulKey's all-in.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to go to Eclipse.
김민철 선수가 4강에 진출했습니다. 일단 4강 진출한 좀 느낌은 어떠세요?
첫 시즌 우승했을 때 말고 나머지는 좀 수월했던 것 같기는 해요. 기분 좋네요, 일단.
거의 뭐 완벽한 기록을 세워나가고 있는 김민철 선수가 고민이 있을까 싶긴 한데, 어디 저의 조언이 마음에 드셨는지 안 드셨는지.
예. 네. 제 고민이라고 하면은 나이가 다 차가지고 방송을 이제 그만뒀을 때 뭘 하면서 살아야 될까?
뭘 해야 할까?
네, 뭘 해야 될까?
뭐 방송이나 게임 말고 본인의 특기나 취미 같은 게 있나요?
없습니다. 네.
혹시 배워보고 싶은 거나?
아, 근데 사실 그것도 없어요.
자, 그러면 일단 결정의 신께 한번.
제가 여는 건가요?
네, 열어주시죠.
열어보겠습니다.
F 모드인가요? T 모드인가요?
저는 T모드 가겠습니다.
알겠습니다.
이걸로
본인
보는
방향으로
건가요?
가주시면.
감정적일 때 행동을 미룰 것.
감정적일 때 행동을 미룰 거. 이거는 김민철 선수가 제일 잘하는 거 아닌가요?
근데 이제 그거는 대회 때 그렇고
네.
약간 집에서는 감정적이긴 해요.
그래요?
네, 긴장을 하고 있으면은 감정적이지 않은데 긴장을 안 하고 있을 때는 되게 감정적이에요.
그럼 김민철 선수가 살면서 가장 감정적으로 취했던 행동이나,
감정적일 때가 근데 게임밖에 없기는 해요. 왜냐면
연애할 때나 뭐 이럴 때
근데 그냥 무미건조해요. 약간.
너무 여자친구가 막 좋아 미쳐버릴 것 같아 막 이런 순간.
깨물어 주고 싶다까지는 안 가던데.
그러면 나왔네, 김민철의 진로가.
어떤 거죠?
진짜 한치의 오차도 없이 뭔가 이렇게 해내야 되는 작업들 있죠.
네.
인형 눈 붙이기라던가 이렇게 해야 되는 그런 직업 어때요? 김명훈 선수에게 주식을 좀
망하지 않았나요? 어디서 보면은 성공한 사람 얘기를 듣지 말고 실패한 사람 얘기를 들으라고 하잖아요. 한번 제가 조언을 한번 얻어보겠습니다.
그렇죠. 왜냐하면 그 주식 같은 것도 감정을 되게 배제해야
네.
하는
맞아요.
그런 되게 고도의
네.
좀 이성적인 기술이잖아요.
그런 것 같아요.
예. 어디 저의 조언이 마음에 드셨는지 안 드셨는지.
예.
감사합니다.
왜냐면은
감사합니다.
인형 뽑기에서는 솔직히 살짝 실망했는데
네.
주식에 대한 얘기를
네.
했을 때 그래도 뭐 그 정도는.
자, 그러면 이제 다음 고민을 한번 들어볼게요.
4강이라는 데가 당연시되는 느낌? 그런 당연하다고 생각하는 그 인식이 조금 부담스럽기는 해요. 예.
김민철 선수가 가장 당연하게 느끼는 것 같거든요.
제가요? 물론 자신감은 있지만 팬들의 기대감이 있으니까 약간 그런 게 부담스럽기는 하죠.
당신은 이미 답을 알고 있다.
네.
김민철 선수는 이미 답을 알고 있어요. 계속 4강에 난 갈 사람이라는 거. 그래서 사실 솔직히 부담은 아니라는 거.
진짜 솔직하게 얘기할게요.
네.
부담보다는 축하풍을 못 받아요. 축하를 안 해줘요.
그치. 이렇게
당연히 올라가야지.
이렇게 막 극적이지 않으니까.
네. 그래서 저는 그게 너무 아쉬워요.
스코어 자체가 4대1 이래버리면은 그 표정부터 난 이겼다. 약간 이런 느낌이어서 약간 퍼포먼스도 필요해요.
퍼포먼스.
네.
어떤 식으로?
멘탈적으로 흔들리는 약간 표정 연기.
변현저처럼은 안 되겠더라고요.
이 정도까지는 어때요? 이 정도까지 약간 이렇게.
그럼 앞으로 한번 이렇게 고개는 한번 숙여볼게요.
오케이.
네.
그래서 약간 그런 쫄깃한 연출이 가미가 된다면 축하품
네.
충분히 또 끌어올 수 있다. 자, 그럼 마지막 질문을 좀 받아볼 텐데
장윤철을 3번 연속 떨어뜨리기가 미안해요.
자, 이제 윤철이를 3번 떨어뜨리는 것에 대한 이 미안함을 어떻게 해소할 수 있을지
네.
한번 도움을 받아보겠습니다. 크게 심호흡한 뒤에 다시 생각해보라. 크게 심호흡한 뒤에 미안한지 진짜 미안한지 다시 생각해보세요.
지금 미안하진 않아요. 네. 그냥 말로만.
장윤철 선수가 진짜 이를 갈고 저는 올 것 같거든요.
유영진이 이기고 올라왔으면 좋겠어요 라는 말을 했으면 마음을 편하게 그러니까 약간 편하게 먹었을 것 같아요. 근데 만나고 싶대요.
맞아요.
저는 진짜 열심히 연습할 거거든요. 그러니까 무조건
무서워요.
이긴다는 생각으로.
네.
네.
장윤철이 저그 전에 이기려면 어떻게 해야 됩니까?
집에서 이겨야죠, 집에서.
알겠습니다.
네.
인터뷰도 확실히 철벽이네요. 제가 뭐 어떻게 뚫어볼 재간이 없습니다.
네.
김민철 선수 4강에 임하는 각오를 끝으로 듣겠습니다.
또 이제 4시즌 연속이잖아요. 욕심을 버릴 때도 됐는데 욕심이 계속 생겨요. 그래서 이번에도 한번 결승 한번 또 진출하고 싶습니다.
네, 김민철 선수 기대하겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
We are back. That game one, man. I mean, you know, SoulKey, he knows how to stop the game before it really starts, you know?
He does. He does. He's super good at playing a decisive game. That's why he's so scary. He's just got such full range. He'll cheese, he'll turn on the aggression at a drop of a hat like a prime Jaedong, and he plays the best late game macro of everybody. It's like, what? He's just one of the complete players. When you get a player this complete, there's so few, man. It's like Flash and SoulKey, and then in StarCraft 2, there's like Serral and Maru, and there's like no one else. That's it.
ASL Season19.
It's crazy. All right, guys, we're going to go into game number 2. Hopefully, SnOw is going to have a cleaner opening and be able to get in the mid-game. We're going to find out on the map Eclipse. Okay, SoulKey in the top right, SnOw in the bottom left. You know, that Ling counterattack, I really can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is that fourth Zealot comes down there, and it's killing drones at the third. It's a problem. And, you know, behind all that, SnOw can just zip up his base, close it off, and tech, and probably be pretty comfortable. But the fact that SoulKey knew to take what was maybe like 10 Zerglings and just go north immediately. He saw the Zealot doing damage. He did not care. He went exactly up there. And it worked. And here's what's crazy. SnOw was making a second cannon. So SnOw is sort of aware, okay, there is counterplay here. We got to be kind of careful here. But the fact that he knew to just run in there, run by the Zealots, kill the cannon, and then go in the main, it's like, damn, you are so scary. No other Zerg would do that. Hero would not have done that. Action wouldn't have done that. Queen would not have done that. But SoulKey seems to know exactly where the races are at points of the game that other players don't see.
Yeah, and that actually goes back to exactly what I was just saying, where he's very like Flash. Because you can see that in Flash's play. He just understands completely what's going on in the game. To levels other Terran players don't. And that's what we're seeing from SoulKey and why he's winning so many championships in a row. You know,
like, you just don't have a big Ling counterattack like that. Yeah, go ahead, Tastosis.
I wanted to actually ask you one thing, because this was SnOw's first map pick. He wanted to play Eclipse as the first map he chose. Why would that be? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think Eclipse has a lot of different openings that you can do PvZ. That's pretty strong. Like in this case, he could run around the Overlord and try to do some kind of cheeky cannon rush. The Zerg might be guessing, okay, is this a proxy gate game or not? I guess it's not as common anymore, but I think it's a perfectly fine map PvZ. I think this map probably even Protoss versus Zerg, but it gets tricky with the bases expanding in two different directions. But I think he's probably pretty comfortable on this. I think Eclipse is probably the most played map in ASL, or played out. Like we've seen more games on it, so it might just be a comfort thing.
Okay. I have to point this out. He opened with Forge. This is the most cannon rushed map. SoulKey went hatch first, but he did it at his third base.
Yeah.
So if
and he has an Overlord just sitting on top of that.
Yeah, if he had known that, he would have forced a cancel on it. But he like this is why SoulKey's so good.
Well,
he used a mind game there. You think it's cool first when you get there.
You can't kill that with cannons though. That third base, there's nowhere to hide the cannons. In order to win with a cannon rush, you have to have the pylon protecting the warp eaten cannons. Now maybe he could have just made cannons like blindly, and the Lings wouldn't have gotten over there. It wouldn't have been spotted. But I think that's why he's just blindly taking the third base. Is he just goes, I'm not even going to deal with this. I'm going to get an inconveniently placed base down here, and move on. And I'll get my third base up at my natural, which is exactly what he did.
Well, I think the thing is, it's like he can't tell that it's hatch first quickly enough to do the cannon rush. If he let's say he just knew if he had map hack, he can just go up, and even if you see the pylon, you can't send the drones over and prevent that. It's going to take too long. So I'm just I'm kind of shocked that SoulKey already has this plan. This is his anti-cannon rush. Is oh, you're going to open Forge first? Well, I'm still going hatch first, just out of position.
Yeah. And so for SnOw, I mean, he's just still scouting. You're basically trying to see, has a layer started? Is there a Hydra den? Anything crazy? Has Link Speed started? And it's not easy to keep that probe alive, but he's been doing a pretty decent job just kind of running around. We're waiting for SnOw's Cybernetics core to finish, and I think kind of similar to how we saw Best play, where it was a very specific style for almost all the games. I would imagine we're going to see this from SnOw. I think every game it's going to be Stargate, excuse me. Corsair is coming out, either Zealots or DTs, just going for a push. I'd be surprised if we had, a sudden Reaver or a 2-gate in the main or a 2-gate in the middle of the map. I'm suspecting that SnOw is going to come in here with kind of a straightforward PvZ style.
Okay. This looks like a pretty normal opener on both sides. Nothing too crazy going on. And coming into this PvZ, I prepped a little bit. I'm like, I got to have some good questions to ask Tasteless, to bring my part of the casting duo into play here as a Terran player. And so I'm gonna start off with the best one I have for today, Tasteless. If these two, SnOw and SoulKey became a casting Archon, would they be SnOwKey or SnowKey? Because we know they wouldn't be so.
They'd be SnOwKey, I think.
SnOwKey?
I'm glad you came prepared today. Yeah, SnOwKey.
SnOwKey. I like SnOwKey over SnowKey as well. SnOwKey sounds really cool.
SnOwKey, you're never going to forget that Archon name. That's and then they would both have to kind of complain about the Terran matchup when they cast that and be like, well, I don't really know what's going on. We don't really play this race. Their TVT cast would be hilarious, man.
The most unbeatable Terran killers from both races. Well, we don't know how Terran functions. They're like, isn't that race just weak? Yeah, I think it is.
So the Corsair is going to come out and try to hit these Overlords. And, he's going to basically scout and see that SoulKey is, setting up for a pretty healthy, macro game. I'm really interested that SnOw always gets a second cannon. I want to see how many times he does this in the future. A lot of people don't get that second cannon there. And you're supposed to make the bare minimum amount of cannons, Later on in the game, sometimes you have to put about 4 cannons at your entrance because there's Hydra bust timings that you just need to be ready for. You need something shooting at Hydras when you throw storms down. But I'm very interested in the very quick second cannon there. That makes me, if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, the whole early game is going to be a lot easier because it's much harder to kill a Protoss with 2 cannons than 1. I just thought the extra cannon meant your second gateway would be later or something like that. 2 Hydra dens, by the way.
Speed and range at the same time. Looks like he's trying to scare him off a little bit. Or not scare him off, but catch him off guard a little bit there. with how quickly the Hydras are going to be ready. The second cannon that he has there, actually, Tastosis, as you say that, is placed back a little bit, which is like a good defense, not just against like Hydra Bus, but like it kind of drags mutas that are trying to hit his natural as well. So it seems like a really cool placement.
Yeah, you definitely want that one a little bit closer to the minerals, just in case. And unless this is a mistake, there are games where we see double tech made. It's pretty rare. But if it is going to happen, it's usually a Zerg player doing it somewhere in the mid-game. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I mean, if he's actually going for range and speed, then he's going to have a lot of really scary Hydras out on the map, able to take some fights that I think SnOw's not going to be prepared for. Usually you either see the Hydras are fast, but they don't have range, or they've got long range, but you can chase them down with Zealots. But this is going to be pretty scary.
This, I think, is actually really well planned from SoulKey. He's got like his gas really spread out. The first two workers in a geyser mine quicker. And look at this, a Zealot comes out, so he just starts moving across the map. This is really surprising. Like, the double Hydralisk Den is making this hit so much faster. You can see SnOw is throwing down a ton of cannons here. He's definitely nervous about this push.
Yeah, he's going to try to get up to 7. And it's always a bit painful for the Protoss when they throw those cannons down, because like you really want to get your gateways up, but like you can't afford, obviously, to just be killed off. So the DT is going to be out, but it's not like they were going to be able to get out and go across the map. He's going to run in with these Corsairs. Beautifully done. Takes that out. Second Overlord and a third Overlord going to enter into the mix. The Hydras, because they have both speed and range, can fire over and hit a lot of these cannons over here in the back. The Corsairs are going to come up. Both the Overlords are going to be picked off. SnOw is having a near perfect hold, and somehow this Zealot is still alive running around.
Dude, he keeps on bringing in one Overlord at a time. I love it. Like, he just has them kind of split up and bringing those in. And look, he's going to be able to get that Forge. We were talking so much before about guarding the Forge. Not this game, though. So that will end up falling, and the Hydras are going to bust down the wall. The Probe's ready to fight if need be.
Okay, he's going to run in. The Probes have to come up to the front. Sometimes you can pop a gateway or a pylon down to kind of get in the way. Dude, is SoulKey just going to win this game? Oh my god, he's coming through. A nice storm on the bulk. 2 cannons remain. A third one's about to finish warping in. The dive comes in here from SoulKey. That cannon only getting 1 or 2 shots off before it's wiped out. And he's going to come in again. He's going to pop that cannon. A storm comes down here. Corsairs are continuing to murder these Overlords.
Yeah, he's catching a lot that are coming across the map right now. Doesn't quite get that one. Will pull back in time, too, not wasting his Corsairs off too badly. Okay, so suddenly we're looking at this, and SnOw's supply is way higher than SoulKey's. Is SnOw ahead after holding that, or... Because it felt like he actually didn't lose that many probes. It seems like his probe count is, like, pretty insane.
No, I mean, he's making probes this whole time. He's still doing it right now. So he's going to be okay. I don't know that, like, SoulKey's screwed here, but yeah, I mean, you see a very sparse amount of drones at each of the mineral patches, right? I mean, it doesn't look like a healthy, functioning base right now. So, I mean, now SnOw can finally lay out the rest of his gateways. We see that warping in on the mini-map. And he's going to be pretty fearsome, man, when it's his turn to push.
Definitely looks like it's going to be scary. So SoulKey's still here a little bit low as far as those drones go. The Scourge actually going all the way home. Maybe looking to catch any Corsairs rotating on the map. Lots of gates being added. Looks like he's going to 9 gates, if I'm not mistaken, there right away. So heavy, heavy production. I think he's actually nailing it. I think this is exactly that type of situation. But look at this, a switch into the mutas. Yeah.
And this is that very specific style. I think we're all pretty used to it now in PvZ. But he wants to snipe the Templars and basically overpower them with the Hydras. And I think there's 5 Corsairs in that group. You can get up to 5 and stop if there's no Mutalisks out. But usually the idea is that the Hydra bust requires so much of the Protoss' resources and attention, they usually don't have enough Corsairs to fight. Usually you're spending so much money on gas and cannons. Sorry, Templars and cannons is what I meant to say. That, you know, you're not ready for this many mutas to come out here. Now, he's got 5 Corsairs. You might need a couple more. Does he have +1? He does.
Yeah.
So he needs to basically identify this. And SoulKey's doing a pretty good job of hiding that.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to bring in the Scourge to flank them. But looks like Soul is... Soul. Soul and SnOwKey here. SnOw trying to run away with those Corsairs. Like, I think he kind of feels what's going on. The way he's running back, that was like an anti-Scourge run back there. The way he went at the angle to try to make sure the Scourge couldn't just, like, trap him.
Yeah, so he's coming up here now. He's wiping the rest of these few Hydras at the entrance. And the Mutas will reveal themselves. Now, if you know this is coming, a Dark Archon can be a great choice. But, you know, I don't know if we're in a game where there's enough time to do that. It's also acceptable to just make more Mutas, or sorry, more Corsairs, and just try to, you know, obliterate the Mutalisks when they get close to you.
I think
he has gone up to, what is that, 6 Templars?
Yeah, he has quite a few. I think if you already have that +1, it's pretty good for the Corsairs, right? Like, it seems like just add a few more of those and you're going to really wreck.
Well, it can be a bit overkill. I've also seen this, and this might be a new development in how the matchup's being played, but people are just over-making Templars versus Mutas.
Yeah.
I think because they know they just need... in a perfect world where you're not losing Templars, you just need 4. 4 is, like, usually 8 storms or more if you have the energy upgrade. It's enough storms that you don't need more. But I guess in this case, when you have a guy who's going to try to kill off all your Templars, if you just send out 6, there's so many targets to kill that, look, probably 3 are going to survive no matter what, right? And then you've got enough to take on the Hydras. Usually when the Protoss dies, it's because all 4 Templars are killed, and you just have this, like, Protoss versus Terran army of Zealots and Dragoons.
Yeah.
And the Hydras are going to just melt that.
Ooh. All right, gets a decent storm down there and does save 5 of his Corsairs, so pushes those Mutas back pretty quickly. Of course, has to watch out for this spread of Lurkers up here. More Lurkers being morphed by SoulKey, getting into a very defensive arc. But this looks good for SnOw. Like, he's got an insanely big army. He's got a lot of Psy Storms in here, a lot of anti-air. I think SoulKey's going to be just rolled over here.
Okay, this is looking really bad here for SoulKey. I mean, this push is just going to come in. There's not even sunken colonies here, Tastosis.
Yeah.
The Lurkers are going to come down. That's always a sign of the last attempt to save the game is all the Lurkers that were turtled at the 3rd base or the 4th base are going to suddenly run out here and try to flank from behind. But, like, there's just enough storms in this game that SnOw is going to be very, very comfortable.
It looks like he's just going to break everything. He's going to get this macro hatch. All the units coming up are dying. He's sending over his own reinforcements from his main base. A lot of Zealots in there to tank. Still might have another storm almost ready on that last High Templar as well. But, yeah, very little left over for SoulKey. Maybe a little bit too aggressive this game.
Yeah, well, he had some cool moves out here. But, yeah, I mean, there's just too much. The push from SnOw was way too strong. The Dragoons and Zealots are just going to melt this. And the fact that the Templars were not picked off really in any fashion meant that there was, like, more than enough storms. He was able to storm, like, individual Lurkers and stuff that you don't normally see people go for, just because, like, he's got it. He might as well spend it. GG, we're going to be tied up 1-1.
All right. Really well played in both games. You know, I think SnOw is on top of everything. I think SoulKey had good ideas, and they just didn't work out this game.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I don't feel like anyone's playing poorly, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. There's no big flubs. You know, we saw
these guys are
best first light game 1, like best screwed up against the push. He should have won the game, right? And there was the mistake in the loss. Here it feels like a lot of strategy going on and just great play from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, a solid push there from SoulKey. From SnOw. He comes out of the map, looks very strong. We're going to get a shot of this Zealot that came across the map, and I didn't really see how this Zealot even got out. I'm kind of confused. This Zealot somehow, like, maneuvered through everything.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like, scouted the main. It was, like, down in the natural, killing drones. I'm like, how long is this Zealot going to be in the game? This is crazy. Yeah, I guess he just right-clicked it right up there. And by the way, you know, the timing of this is so sharp. Like, SnOw is 100% in the right to throw down as many cannons as he can afford here. SnOw did a perfect job of hitting these Overlords. Just buying, like, literally a few extra seconds is huge. And he even very deliberately shoved his Zealots really far forward so that the cannons couldn't be hit initially. And so the Lings and the Hydras have to, like, do so much more damage to even get in anywhere and do anything viable. The DT came out. This was also great. I gotta say, SnOw looked really strong when it came to holding this. He killed off every single Overlord, literally supply blocking SoulKey.
You know, if that Zealot hadn't gotten out, he would have lost this push instantly. there would be no way, because his cannons barely finish in time to save him. So getting that one Zealot out when SoulKey had that many speedlings, absolutely crucial. Great play from SnOw.
There's the door that Protoss have always needed, man. I was joking about StarCraft 2. There's the door finally. They just need a door at that entrance. Guys, we're taking a short break. Coming up next is Game 3 with SnOw versus SoulKey.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 올리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 4%.
자, 정말 너무나 멋있게 정윤종을 꺾고 장윤철이 4강에 올라갔습니다. 아유, 뭐 이 기세대로라면 이번 시즌 1 내겠다 싶은 생각도 드는데요. 이런 지금 기세 좋은 장윤철 선수의 고민을 제가 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 상당히 마음에 들었다. 그럼 O. 상당히 마음에 안 들었다. X.
X요. 대회만 가면은 난 못해지는 게 좀 있어요. 특히 저그전. 그거에 대한 해답이 있을까요? 근데 이게 지금 5년째예요. 네. 5년째라서 이거 어떻게 해야 될지.
근데 윤철이가 느끼기에 약간 경기장에서의 약간 디버프가 있는 것 같아?
그런 건 좀 있어요. 원래 저그전 같은 경우는 이제 정말 그 섬세함이 중요한데 1초, 2초 실수해가지고 밀릴 때가 많거든요.
경기장에서 저그전에서 오는 압박감에 대한 해답을 한번 고민을 해결해 보도록 하겠습니다. F모드와 T모드가 있습니다.
전 T모드가 좋아요.
T모드?
네.
오케이, 그러면 펼쳐주시죠. 너무 어려운데요, 고민이. 내가 이걸 어떻게 해결해줘? 물어보는 게 낫다.
누구한테요?
경기장에서 제 실력이 안 나오는 선수들이 몇 있어요.
저밖에 없는.
도재욱 선수도 가끔 경기장에서 약간 본인이 평소 안 하던 실수를 한다거나 같은 토스로서 또 도재욱 선수에게도 한번 의논을 해보는 것도 좋을 것 같아요. 나는 장윤철 선수가 심리적인 문제라고 봐요. 근데 장윤철이 푸푸전 할 때는 거기에서 이겨 있어. 약간 내가 무조건 1, 2초 빠르다. 본인이 본인의 징크스를 만든 것 같아요. 패배가 좀 이렇게 쌓이면서 난 저그전 할 때 조금 늦는 것 같아. 약간 이렇게 본인이 징크스를 만든 게 아닐까요? 어떻게 생각하세요?
그럴 수도 있는 것 같아요. 네.
맞아요?
근데 사실
네.
아까 이미 X를 들까 고민했어요.
장윤철이 저그전을 못한다고 생각하지 않거든요? 그 심리적인 문제라고 봐요.
네, X요.
자, 그럼 다음 고민.
네, 좀 잠을 못 자는 것 같은데 이런 거엔 또 뭐가 좋을까요? 아기를 키우면서 너무 피곤하고 회복이 안 되고 이런 생활 패턴, 이런
좀 균형을 잡을 수 있을까? 근데 몇 시간을 주무세요? 평균적으로?
제가 보통 한 2, 3시에 방종하고 대회에 올라가서 그런지 진짜 머릿속에 스타 생각이 좀 많아서 한 4시쯤에 잠들면은
6, 7시에 또 애기들 깰 거 같아요.
네, 7시 반에 이제 깨요. 그럼 애기들 보다가 이제 어린이집 데려다 주고 10시부터 이제 자요, 다시. 이게
다르지.
좀
통잠 자는 거랑 완전 다르죠.
진짜 이게 자는데 더 피곤해요. 회복이 안 돼요, 회복이.
그래도 한번 이제 어떤 전개가 나오는지 한번 볼게요. 끝내 일어나지 않을 일. 그 해결 안 된대요. 방송 포기할 수 없죠. 육아 당연히 해야 되는 거죠. 스타도 지금 우리 이렇게 4강까지 올랐는데 뭐 대충 하실 거예요?
해야 될 건 해야죠.
해야 될 건 끝내 일어나지 않을 그거는 해결이 안 됩니다. 오늘은 진짜 좀 자야 된다 싶으면은 그래도 숙소를 잡아서 좀 분리된 공간에서 이렇게 하루 정도는 푹 자기를 추천합니다. 다 모든 것에 있어서 집중력이 떨어지는 것보단 완전하게 회복을 하는 시간을 갖고 이런 식으로 해서 좀 밸런스를 맞추는 거를 좀 권해드리고 싶네요. 자, 그럼 마지막 고민 가겠습니다.
돈을 벌려면 어떻게 해야 될까요?
내 고민이야. 이것도 내 고민이라고요. 돈을 벌려면 어떻게 해야 될까? 나도 진짜 그거 궁금하긴 한데 감정에 앞서지 말아라. 결국에 돈을 벌어야 된다는 건 힘들거나 지치거나 좀 배제를 해야 되는 것 같아요. 그거에 우위에 목표가 있으면 그것을 초월하는 체력이 나오지 않을까요? 인간이 가진 능력의 10%도 채 쓰지 못하고 죽는데요.
저는 더 열심히 하면 될 거라고 생각했어요. 어떨 때는 운도 따라줘야 되고
맞아.
알맹이 있게 하는 게 좀 중요하다고 생각했는데
근데 그 알맹이가 있는 게 터져서 꽃을 피우려면 쌓여 있어야 돼요. 성실함과 근면함과 꾸준함. 근데 그게 없으면 분명히 이제 무너지는 리스크가 같이 올 거라고 생각해. 근데 저는 장윤철 선수가 되게 근면 성실한 선수라고 생각하기 때문에 우승이라는 한 방이 없어요. 그렇죠? 셋째라는 한 방.
아니요, 그건 안 돼요. 진짜 이게 과로사가 뭔지 알까요?
고민은 오늘은 제대로 해결을 해드린 게 없는 것 같아요.
심리 상담사처럼 말을 좀 들어주는 사람 있잖아요.
네.
그분인 것 같아요.
근데 그 정도의 역할만 했다 하더라도 저는 만족인데 본인의 입으로 꺼냈다는 것만으로도 저는 그래도 많은 부분이 해소가 될 수 있다고 생각을 하거든요.
네.
몰라요. 뭐 그렇지 않을까요? 네. 자, 그럼 장윤철 선수 또 이렇게 3시즌 연속 4강에 진출한 만큼 장윤철 선수가 4강에 임하는 각오가 어떨지 굉장히 궁금합니다.
이건 또 오프라인이더라고요. 아, 진짜 한번 가보고 싶어가지고 열심히 준비해가지고 꼭 올라가 보도록 하겠습니다.
Thanks for waiting, everybody. We're going to hop into Game 3 here. Very exciting to see such a strong, robust push from SnOw. I mean, he definitely knows how to handle it. I've been thinking about this a lot, the kind of over-making of Templars and why it just sort of seems like an obvious solution to the muta sniping. And seeing it again here now, I think it's official. That seems to be the way to handle it. If you're not going to go Dark Archon, get up to 6 Templars, maybe even more, and just go for it, you know? Like, all you need to do is get 5 or so storms down, and you're gonna pull through. The mutas will be killed by the Corsairs before they can kill every single Templar. You know, it's funny it's taken this long for it to be a thing. It feels like this is the first season where Protosses have come up with a very definitive answer to this, but I love to see it.
That's really interesting, because getting a Dark Archon in Maelstrom costs as much or more than 2 more High Templars anyways, you know?
Right.
It has a different type of utility to it, and I definitely don't think it's necessarily wrong to get one because, you know, things can go wrong when you're storming mutas, but when you Maelstrom them, they're done. But
no, they're gone. They're gone, friend.
But this almost seems like an easier approach in some ways. Sometimes it's really hard to add in another spellcaster and have that in position and wait for the timing to have it have the energy and all that, whereas making a couple more High Templars seems a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah, well, I think especially if you already have the Corsairs. Like, that game, he was already up to 3 Corsairs fighting the Hydra Rush, because, like, that's a very different type of Hydra Rush. That's hinged on both the range and the speed finishing, and so it's like a really specific window timing attack.
Sure.
If it was a normal Hydra bust, then you would have probably had to cut Corsairs because it would have attacked earlier, in which case you might not have any Corsairs, and then the Dark Archon makes a little bit more sense. But for a game like that, it seems like he had enough Corsairs, he had +1 attack, and so yeah, just make a couple extra Templars, protect the Templars as best you can with the Corsairs, do a push, win the game.
Indeed. That's what we're looking at for that game, at least. Now, we're going to go into, what is the next map? Dominator.
Dominator.
Okay. And then Death Valley for set 4. I'm very excited about that, seeing some more Death Valley PvZ. But here we go, Dominator for map number 3.
Okay, Zerg here in the top and Protoss in the bottom, both sharing the left side of the map. Yeah, let's see what kind of game they're going to show us here. I don't think SoulKey's going to try that trick again, the double Hydra.
Yeah, I think you're
Hydra
right.
Den Bust. We don't see it very often, but every once in a while it pops up. And it's very strong. It's very difficult to deal with. It kind of hits at a very weird time where, you know, you're kind of looking for Hydra busts up to a point, and then you go, okay, it's not coming. But that rush actually hits after, so it's very tough to deal with.
He actually, the specific timing of it, I think, okay, well, SnOw is actually going to center gate. Oh my God. But basically, there, you know, he had like 16 speedlings out front, so you shouldn't get the Zealot through. And then he does it right in that window where the Corsairs withdraw against Scourge. Really a beautiful build from SoulKey. Great from SnOw to stop it. But yeah, so this is going to be 2 proxy gates, right? That's the only way to go.
100%. No, it's just crazy to see this. I really felt like this wasn't good anymore. Like, I remember when ASL first came out, we had a lot of games with this. I remember Rain specifically doing this a decent amount. And I remember trying just like online. I'm like, well, let's try in my games to do this. And it's so hard to make proxy gate work versus a good Zerg.
It is hard.
But, you know, if you can just blindside him with this, and honestly, this is like so not even a trendy build anymore, that SoulKey might just get snowballed here. He might, the Zealots might come out. He might have just made too many. Yeah, I know. As I said it, I was like, all right, well, this is very fitting for this guy's ID.
And the balls to do a build like this.
Yeah.
He's definitely getting snowballed.
I mean, let's see what happens. But, you know, if he gets out, I mean, you can just kill the Zerg. The problem is that if the game goes on long, this is so uncomfortable for the Protoss. Your 2 gateways are in the middle of the map. You can't expand. You know, there's a ton of different ways a Zerg can play this. They could go Hydras, they could go Mutas, they could go Mass Speedlings. So much of this build is just hinged on the first minute or 2 doing a really pronounced amount of damage.
Last time I remember seeing this, Mini versus Larva, Game 7 of the finals, right? And Mini ended up failing with it. So haven't really seen it since then in ASL.
Forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, still scouting. Is he going to check center? He is! He's checking! Oh my God. He knows.
So, I mean, this is kind of crazy. He didn't wait, by the way. There's some ideas where you can like wait for all 3 Zealots to come in, because then it really hits hard, and also they might have already overmade drones. He's going to run back. He needs to kill that drone and make sure that there's no sunken colonies started here. It's really important you block that. Lings are hatching. He's got to be careful. He's a little bit like all over the place here. You know, that he needs to make sure the Zealots are kind of fighting together and that he's microing correctly. He's going to back up. He moves that stronger Zealot through here. He's keeping all 4 alive. There's about to be a 5th Zealot to merge in with this. This is looking really bad for SoulKey, especially with these moving shots. Beautifully done. He kills the drone. Did he just win this?
I think so. There's just not a lot of Lings out there. Like, if he had a good group, maybe he could go kill the pylon or something like that, come back and play like a really messy game, but it looks like he's not even going to be able to save the hatchery. We'll see. He goes up, starts attacking these Zealots, but he's just so outnumbered.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of these Zealots are very low, and it looks like he's actually targeting them down. Oh, is he going to maybe hold this? Keep in mind, the Protoss is going to endlessly be streaming out double Zealots here and making probes behind all this. You're always pumping workers when you're doing a rush like this, once you get everything set up and all the pieces are moving. I mean, SoulKey seems like he sent 3 drones up here, and this might just be enough, combined with the Ling micro, to maybe make this work. He's going to try to glitch out the Zealots by having the drones glide through them. He starts the creep colony, soon to be a sunken colony.
Man. A lot of tension right now in this game. SnOw is on a clock to get up here because of that creep colony. Okay, goes up, starts to put some damage on it, backs up a little bit. Sunken, not started. Okay, he does get that started. Wow, the drill right there. He actually has an Overlord looking at the gas and minerals over on the other base, so is able to drill. And, dude, has he held it? Is it held?
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, when the sunk's done, the Protoss is cooked. It's so hard to get anything done from that point. Now, he could maybe try to like run through the side here. The sunk is sort of maybe a little bit too far to the right. He's also remade another gateway in his main. So, I mean, things are looking bad. The Ling counterattack is always scary here, because we all know what Lings can do to you if they get into your main in a fast expand game. Imagine a game where you have nothing back at your base. I guess that's why he gets the gateway. I've never seen the 3rd gateway made like that, but I guess it makes sense. You just want to keep putting pressure on and get a couple Zealots out here to try to defend. Great control here by SnOw. He somehow does not kill any Lings. I felt like the damage was just distributed in such a way that all the Zerglings somehow survived that.
It seems like it's getting very bad for SnOw very quickly. Having to micro against Lings here. SnOw, yeah, his pylon is maybe going to be in some trouble. SoulKey actually having a little bit of a hard time. He's utilizing that doodad really, really well there. Utilizing where the gates are. But in the meantime, SoulKey is losing these Lings that are in the main base of SnOw.
Yeah, when the Lings are gone, I mean, the pressure's really off. He's going to send more Lings to run around here. I would assume he's going to make a forge and try to develop some kind of a wall over here. SoulKey is on something like 8 drones. Like, he's barely got a functional economy.
Barely anything, yeah.
Okay,
and he does have that sunken, though. He has the Lings, so, like, if he keeps his units alive, it's still hard to break him. But if he keeps wasting Zerglings, I could see the Zealots just attack moving to a victory.
You know, it's funny. The placement of the pylon, it is in between these 3 doodads. It does make it a lot harder for the Lings to get in there. I didn't really appreciate the structure of the very center of the map here. And so what he's trying to do now is he's just trying to block this off. He wants to keep making Zealots on the map, but ideally just have enough that he can, like, hold this, make a late Nexus, and keep trying to rush. I mean, the control right now for SnOw is looking pretty goddamn good. I mean, it's so impressive.
Well, that is a speed upgrade if I've ever seen one. And that means that these Zealots are going to have an even harder time. They just can't catch the Lings if SoulKey is microing them.
Yeah. He's going to run in here now. He's forced a cannon that's going to start here. He's killing a couple of probes here and there. I mean, this is, you know, just to go big picture here, this is why I don't think we see Proxy Gate in the center of the map as much anymore. Is like, it has its moment, but if it doesn't work, you are in, like, one of the hardest games of StarCraft ever.
It seems so hopeless here. SoulKey doesn't have a lot of drones, but he has a lot of options. He has a lot of larva. He can make a ton of speedlings and flood in. And, you know, if he starts again Edge, he could drone up. And, I mean, you haven't even started a Nexus here.
I'm surprised he didn't try to kill the pylon earlier. I think he was a little bit too conservative. Because if you kill that pylon, there's just, like, the game's over, right?
Doesn't he have, like, 4 Zealots at the pylon right now? Like, I'm pretty sure he has a good group of them. Because he's really being careful not to lose that. If you lose that pylon, I think the game just has to end.
Great control here by SnOw.
Wow.
He needs to kill that pylon. The pylon stays up. He's going to remake the forge. He's got to plug this entrance up. That's the whole mission for the Protoss right now. Wow, and he has a forge making it his main. He needs to plug this up. The Zealots can be positioned in a way where it's very unfavorable to fight. This is one of the most well-played post-2-gate games I have ever seen Tastosis.
It's crazy.
Like, I am learning so much watching how SnOw is handling this.
The fact that SoulKey hasn't broken him is blowing my mind. Like, I thought for sure he'd be broken by now. But the Zealots feel like they are invincible. And look at this. He's at 7 drones and he started a 3rd hatch at a 3rd base. He needs more mineral patches. I don't even know, man, how this game is supposed to go from here, because SoulKey's economy is so garbage. But at least he has the hatches. He can, like, if you leave a Zerg alone for a minute, they get so many workers so quickly. So he can recover that economy pretty quick.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I mean, SnOw never stopped making workers. So he's got, in some ways, a really healthy economy. It's an awkward game, but he's going to start that Nexus. He'll have plenty of probes to transfer. I mean, we don't even have 1 drone per patch at any single base. Like, it's crazy. Like, SoulKey wanted to, like, end this game, and it did not happen. And, you know, SnOw's played a very smart, slow game. He's kept enough Zealots back at these gateways. Obviously, they're unpowered now. But he had enough there that, like, they couldn't be killed. He made a gateway in his main. He was just, like, making 3-gate Zealot and trying to stabilize while continuing to make probes. And here we are.
Who's ahead here? Is SnOw ahead?
SnOw.
Yeah?
I think SnOw's ahead. But I think
so.
It's a weird game from here, right? Because, you know, you don't know what kind of tech there is. Luckily, Protoss has a probe on the map. That makes a huge difference. Because the scary thing, and this is, by the way, why we almost always see Corsairs made early on in this matchup, is Protoss needs to know what's happening. This is not a matchup where you can kind of... Like, Terran versus Protoss, sometimes the Protoss can't get inside the base, and you're like, well, there's a couple ways I can play this. It's not like they're going to fly out with a bunch of battle cruisers, right? And kill you. Or, you know, there's only you sort of know what the Terran's doing. In this matchup, you don't. And so, you need to be ready for that when the time comes. You need to be ready for, are there mutas coming, or you know, what will it be? See, he's going to transfer a really healthy amount of probes over here.
killer economy. Really good now that he's got the Nexus
it's
up.
looking great.
Yeah, he's adding another cannon just in case it is a Spire from SoulKey. I think that that's a pretty good idea. Like, you'd have to make a lot of Hydras to have a chance to even break through the Zealot count. But then with SnOw being careful at those cannons as well, it makes it much harder. I'm not, like... I'm looking at this game, and SnOw's economy just looks so much better at the moment. As soon as he kind of gets a Corsair scout out there, I think he's going to be like, okay, this is easy to finish. He's going to have just, like... Mathematically, he's going to be able to add his gateways, make sure that he doesn't die to mutas, and then the attack is not going to be holdable.
Yeah, the only thing you're really afraid of at this point is mutas, because you don't quite have that much to defend. That's why we see the Dragoon. Sometimes you'll even see 2 Dragoons made. They just want, like, something in case, like, there's mutas hitting somewhere weird. You know, 1 to 2 Dragoons can kind of buy time. You can, like, snipe the Scourge with it, stuff like that. And he's going to come out with his pressure, but he's not going to commit. He's going to back up a little bit. He's just trying to force Zerglings. SnOw playing an absolutely perfect PVZ here. By the way, it's crazy to think this started with Center Gate. You know? That's wild to me that we had a game that started out like that, and then it didn't work, and then here we are developing it into a normal PVZ. That's crazy to me. We're about to be at 12 minutes here.
You know, if he actually ends up losing some of the Zealots and you hide the game timer, then we might look at this game, like, just show a screenshot of the game to someone and be like, what do you think this opened as? And like, no, it looks normal. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, this is a pass expand.
Like, there's a few too
Maybe
many
the wallet
Zealots
was
here.
blown up by Hydras.
Yeah, right now the Zealot count is high enough that I'm like, okay, you know something's off, but, like, as those get whittled down, it's like, okay, well, this is actually, like, what if we just play a standard macro PVZ from here? How crazy would that be?
Yeah, I think that's where we're going, man.
That'd be so insane.
He's going to get that Templar Archives here, too. The mutas are going to come out. So SoulKey is not just making the Spire to get some Scourge. He is making mutas, too.
I'm not too surprised about that. I think he needs to have something where there's potential for some damage, and Hydras are not that. In fact, I'm almost, like, thinking here, because he's on the back foot, I almost feel like, okay, you go for these, right? And you kind of force, like, hopefully an overreaction. But from there, I don't even think it's Hydra. I think you have to go to Lurker pretty quick. I think you have to play a pretty turtled position on your pizza slice.
I think so. I think you just have to play like a 4-base turtling game.
Yeah.
Maybe rush into Hive and, you know, try to get Defilers and get Plague and just play a long one.
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I really learned a lot just seeing this game, seeing that third.
Me too, actually.
Gateway made there. I've never seen. Yeah, I was like, oh, is that the play? I think in my head I'm always like, and I don't do this that often, but every once in a while I'll just try it out. And I'm always like, I got to get an expansion up. I guess not. I guess you just keep making Zealots and protect the gateways and then make Zealots in your main. And it's very doable.
Yeah, and it's not just the strategic, like, oh, wow, this can work in this matchup, but, like, you know it that they're playing really well when, as, like, a Terran player, I'm looking at this, is making me think about Terran matchups and, like, fundamental truths.
Yeah.
Like, fundamental truths of the game where, like, yeah, I guess if you pressure nonstop with these Zealots and keep that drone count low enough, even a failed proxy 2-gate can be recovered from. It's like, damn, that is so cool.
So, I mean, he's staying back with his Corsairs. It's going to be kind of a quiet game for the next little bit here. The mutas are seeing what they can get done. And this is SnOw. I believe he's up to 9 gateways, so he's just, like, basically powering up. And he's going to see what damage he can do. There's a Templar here. I did not even see that until our observer showed us. Great job there.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. He's just going to kill every mute. That was beautifully done by SnOw.
Dude. Look at those Corsairs, the way they were moving as well, man. Absolute craziness.
Yeah.
He had 4 Corsairs, all with Maverick in them.
He's busting out on the map now. I mean, he's really going to force SoulKey to just camp and turtle. I don't think we can get a 4th base here. I don't see any location that's going to be safe where Zealots can't just come through and pound down a hatchery.
Well, this is definitely going to be a scary attack, but there are a lot. And yeah, he is going directly into Lurkers. That's very cool. He's a lot of Sunkens up there going into a very turtled Lurker position. But SnOw... The thing, this is what's, like, I'm getting chills right now watching, because I think a lot of Protoss players here would be like, yeah, and then we attack and I'm so far ahead, which is true, but SoulKey's making it hard by going Lurker Sunken in good SimCity. But the thing is, SnOw already countered that by going for a really fast third Nexus. You know, well, fast based on how this game has gone so far, I guess is
right. No,
caveat.
everything's kind of delayed from where it would normally be just because of the nature of the opening here. Look, man, he's getting that Robo. The Corsairs have been melting Mutas to the point where I've lost count of how many Mutalisks have been killed here. Lurkers are getting stopped before they can even burrow.
Damn.
I mean, this looks so easily a Protoss win. Just this position right now.
Yeah.
You know, Zerg just now starting a 4th base. Who knows if that can stay up for that long? Protoss finishing their 3rd and transferring probes as we speak. Nothing mining in the main, by the way. That's kind of that can't be right.
I'm sure he'll eventually, you know, throw a couple there. It's probably better to throw 2-3 probes on there than nothing, obviously. But yeah, he's getting that 3rd base saturated, which is really, really important. He's got a great position, 9 gates, 1/1 upgrades already. SoulKey is just going to take this 4th. This is like a very retracted position for SoulKey. Where, like,
yeah, I mean, this is
you have to control those high ground triangles is the only thing I can think, right? The 3 pizza slices in front of his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th base. Like, maybe
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, if he spreads like Lurker there and he has Hydra, and you know maybe he has like a couple Scourge for picking off observers or something, like maybe he can just kind of hold on. But look at SnOw, 4th base against a Zerg that kind of has to turtle. I love it, Tasteless.
Well, I think he knows, like, the only thing this guy's going to do is try to counterattack me. So let's just take 2 bases. Let's cannon up. And look, I mean, sometimes in games like this, all you got to do is push the natural.
Oh my god.
You know, it's not always about whack-a-mole with bases. You just, like, kind of come out and, you know, do whatever damage you can do. The Mutas are out once more. They don't see any Templars in this group. The top right base, I think, is in fact going to be where the target is.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. The Corsairs are just cleaning house here, taking out these Overlords.
And you know what,
I don't know. I mean, doesn't he just kill this?
I think so, but I think SoulKey's going to focus on killing observers maybe and hope that the Lurkers can help him out enough. But he actually didn't utilize the pizza slices like I was calling. Like, he's gone for just every base is a fortress here. You know, like, each base is its own defense, which is very scary to do because that means your opponent can just look at all of them and be like, this one's the weakest, and go after it.
Exactly. I mean, you could just look at that and go, oh, this is where the imbalance is. I'm just going to go here.
Yeah.
The Mutas are going to try to close in on these Corsairs. I mean, these Dragoons are doing a great job covering these these Corsairs. The Corsairs are continuing to pursue here. Queen's Nest started, so we're going to get into that Hive Tech. Zerg can make this work. If they get onto Hive Tech and just sort of camp it out, it's hard. It's a very hard game. The only problem right now for SoulKey is that he doesn't have access to most of the map. He's really had to play, you know, a game where he's just hiding and defending a lot more than I think he would like to.
It feels like he has to go into like a plague grind to have a chance. And if he goes up into that plague grind, don't forget that opens up the possibility for Reaver play from SnOw. Also, SnOw is the best, in my opinion, he is the best at late game not attacking stupidly for Protoss. You know what I mean?
He has this video. Yeah, he actually has this like course. You could sign up on his YouTube, and he has like lessons if you like subscribe. Like there's actually a feature on YouTube where you can like a Twitch thing.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to Light. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's this video. It's in Korean, but it's really interesting to see what he talks about. Like he basically says what you need to do is not panic and just keep trying to storm stuff, and just get value over time. Like, the one mistake you can make is you just attack in and lose everything, which is exactly what I've been doing, by the way. When I heard this, I was like, oh, okay, like, just get Storm. Like, you're gonna have more Templars, get Storms, run away, like, Storm Lurkers, Storm Hydras, move around the map, look for anything you can fight, stop the counterattacks. Like, eventually they're just gonna run out of stuff, and it seems like he's setting up for that. There's a bit of a Hail Mary play here, by the way, from SoulKey. He's gonna try to sneak this base up here in the other main, but if this gets spotted, it is going to get shut down.
Well, the Mutas are doing a great job of kind of staying on top of things. I feel like he's scouting well with them, just like harassing lightly. Good job by SnOw. I love the zoning plays he's doing. If you look at the minimap, you can see these little magenta dots around that are like kind of just watching anything incoming. He needs to be able to react to everything because, you know, like what we said for SnOw, like he could find the weak position and leverage his army there instantly. SoulKey can do the same thing. I think it's a little bit harder because it's more lurker-based and running into Storm is going to be tough, but like he can suddenly bring his army into a position. But if you look at the way that SnOw is sweeping left and right across the map, he's not really letting anything big past. Like, he's just back and forth, and this is such a great way to play when you're ahead, is not letting your opponent go onto your side.
Yeah, and he's just going to push in like this. He's just going to throw some storms, see what he can get, and then regroup. Don't even need to morph an Archon if you don't think you're going to lose the Templars. Just back up, regroup, get some damage. He's forced the hatchery to cancel. That's all you got to do. It looks like Zerg is still intent on trying to grow into the bottom right. I cannot believe he made a hatchery there. That's crazy. Well, that just gets killed off outright.
Yeah. He's trying to make something happen here. He knows he does need another base. Maybe he'll be able to take that other main base that he's been looking towards. Great storms here from SnOw. He's just taking his time. He's doing exactly what you just had. He suggested in lessons. You know, that's what you want, is someone this good that will tell you how to play, and then you watch him and he plays like that. Where it's like, no, he's like, I'm not going to attack up there.
Maybe other Protoss players can relate to this, but I always thought like, I just freak out and attack it.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I'm like, I have to end the game right now. Like, I killed a bunch of lurkers. This is my moment.
I do that all the time.
I can't throw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's this thing where like watching him go like, no, we're just going to storm. We're going to run away. We're going to keep expanding. You know, you're going to get value over time with that. It's like when you watch somebody who's playing the game and they seem to be at your level, but they're like way higher rank, and you're like, what is the difference between this guy and me? And it's like he just understands a couple of these principles that someone like me doesn't know, right? And that's what's holding me back, is I don't know a couple of these basic rules that I can follow the game with, and that was one of them.
Yeah. You know, the fundamental principles of a game. That's the strongest stuff there is. That's why they're fundamental. All right, now a big attack coming in from SoulKey. A huge amount of lurkers. You can see him trying to spread them on the fly as he moves up. SnOw is coming back from the right-hand side here with his army. He's actually catching a lot of the units as they walk in. But really, this is the problem that we were talking about before with SoulKey trying to attack, is he's got a very lurker-based composition. So it's like siege, unsiege, burrow, unburrow, right? Like every time they do that, it's going to give SnOw opportunities for extra damage.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the right idea of setting just like one or two zealots through here, not overextending. I think a lot of other players would have just sent more. SoulKey is going to come down here and try to slam this spot. And, you know, it's crazy. Protoss is like on 5 bases where Zerg's not. But if there's enough over here to take this out, it's going to be so bad for SnOw.
He needs a few more storms. Does he actually have that? He has some more High Templars coming up. They almost have the energy. He does already have that Kadarian Amulet upgrade, very importantly.
The lurkers are very stacked.
Yeah, that's where he really needs a storm. But some of these Hydras, look at these Hydras on the left-hand side, trying to maneuver in to get the hit onto these High Templars. And he starts to split those lurkers, seeing what SnOw's trying to do with the High Templar.
Nice storm. Does that hit both?
Yeah.
It does.
Dude, this is so crazy. If SoulKey wins this game, Tasteless, I'm going to write a letter on your behalf. It's going to be to both Soup and Blizzard, man. Like, no way. SnOw has played so beautifully this game. What is going on here?
It's crazy. He's like, I think he might lose this base, which almost, it just doesn't make any sense. There's supposed to be nine or more gateways pumping. Protoss is ahead in bases, which is unheard of. And then, you know, SoulKey's about to break this. He's got a Defiler in the mix. He could get Plague or maybe even Dark Swarm. It's wild, man.
I can't even believe that he's this close to breaking. And the Psystorm, Psystorm obviously a huge answer, but as Darkstorm comes down, that negates the Dragoons for the most part. So now you're fighting, and it's like Zealot High Templar, and look at the amount of lurkers he's making.
It's not pretty, Artosis. This is looking really bad here for SnOw. And by the way, this is like such an unusual game. The idea that he has this many bases and the lurkers are just going to leapfrog down here.
Oh my god.
He might end up getting lurker contained, by the way.
25 minutes after opening with 2-gate Zealot Rush. Okay, that sounds realistic to me. The Dark Templar actually did a lot of work in there. Picks off that Observer, unfortunately. A lot of Dragoons that are going to be nearly useless. Notice how he holds back the Zerglings. He's going to use those for food, and if the Dragoons move forward, of course, he can kind of come in with those Zerglings and crush.
I can't believe
it.
He's going to push this base. This is, like, unreal. You just never see a PvZ that quite looks like this. Like, SnOw is playing a game that was basically a masterclass in the matchup, right? You know, showing so much patience, but somehow SoulKey just powered up enough and exploded onto the map and is now, I think, going to basically contain SnOw. Which means, by the way, if he's contained, these other bases are just kind of open and up for grabs. It could be very easy for him to just run in there and get a whole bunch of kills. The DT is going to come up here. This is going to be big. Let's see how many kills it can get.
There are a lot of
the Observer's
drones.
never going to show us.
There are a lot of drones there, man. 6 kills already. He is going to kill off a huge portion of that economy. And SnOw is still kind of holding on here. Look at this. He's going to get every drone at this base. Absolute madness. Starts to bring it back. 12 kills on that Dark Templar.
Yeah, and I don't think SoulKey's even noticed yet.
I don't think so. Where did the DT go? I don't know if... Oh, he's coming back right now. Maybe he's going to try to eat some Zerglings or something with it, or just bringing everything he has to try to hold. He did lose that mineral base. It's not necessarily the end of the world. What is the end of the world is this base going down. If this base goes down or his natural gets contained, he's going to lose.
And if it's just cannons, I mean, Lings will just destroy everything. Even if it's just like one Zergling. It will slowly destroy everything that's over here. So, like... You got to be careful. It looks like now SoulKey realizes he doesn't have anything mining up there. You know, SnOw, to his credit, is actually fighting back. The problem right now for SnOw is his 6 o'clock base, I think, is going to fall. I don't know if he can get Zealots over here in time.
Well, those are cracklings.
These are cracklings, by the way. So things just die so fast. He just right-clicks this down. It's gone.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Things falling apart right now for SnOw a little bit. Don't forget, though, SoulKey mined out his main, mined out his natural, mined out his third, and he lost all the probes at his mineral base. So he's barely mining as well. He barely has anything going on. SnOw actually has a similar amount of patches to SoulKey right now. See?
I cannot believe how many workers were killed back there. That's so sad that he didn't just, like, keep them down in that corner.
Yeah.
Running the workers back through there. I mean, that was at least 2 control groups of probes right there.
Brutal.
That was wiped out. Both sides, by the way, sub 100 supply. It's become a crazy late-game, scrappy PvZ. Almost 30 minutes long now.
Dude, I can't believe this game that we're looking at. What an amazing game to open up. I thought for sure this was going to be a 5-minute game. For sure, I thought this was one way or the other. Whoever ends up winning this, I could not see this occurring. And now SoulKey has killed a bunch, and they both have to expand. I think they both look at this and say, all right, no one's going to die, it turns out. All right, next stage of this crazy game.
I mean, this is wild, man. It seems like SnOw has fought back to the point where he's, like, able to regrow, but the punch that SoulKey packs is just wild to me. Like, just seeing that lurker push like that, I've never really seen that before in a PvZ quite like that, where it's like, is this really where Zerg can attack? Can you actually get away with this, a 5-base Protoss? Just kind of attacking through Storm and cannons and lurkers? Apparently, yes.
Apparently. You know,
so when a Defiler tech comes out, you tend to just stop Dragoons. You tend to go for Speedlot, Archon, Templar, with Observers, and a lot of times you get Reavers. We don't see Reavers yet, but I think Reavers would be a very appropriate move. In fact, if he had Reavers back there, he might not have lost that 4th base that he had, the mineral only that went down earlier.
Man, I am still being blown away by just how we got into this crazy position. And I love how suddenly we're back at tech from, like, what minute of the game is the tech supposed to look like this from Protoss? Like, SnOw is on, like, minute 10 tech or something like that. It's like, yeah, he might switch into ranged Dragoons from here. But it's like, well, no, because we're in Hive tech for SoulKey. So how does SnOw utilize this now, down-teched army, and actually, like, break some of these positions? Is it good enough to keep SoulKey just on the bases he has now? Like a mineral base and that top right? Is that good enough?
You know, I don't know. Here's what I know, is that I think SnOw needs to take the natural of the other starting location.
Okay.
When we get into a game this long, first of all, it's generally a little bit better for Zerg by just like a tiny little margin.
Yeah.
But you need to basically start to play kind of exhaust stuff. You have to start going for just mass bases. Now, by the way, this attack over here is huge. Apparently, there's just nothing to protect this over here. So SoulKey is going to drop this base. This is a big deal. The counterattack is inbound, and SnOw is sending a lot of his stuff back over here.
Oh, my God.
Again, you know, there's so many lurkers that Zealots just can't actually do anything.
He has got, you know what, he's doing a good job kind of zoning them out from that Dark Swarm, which is big. Throws down some very, very good Psy Storms here as well. Unfortunately, that Observer does get picked off.
Observer.
Yeah, definitely needs some more of those up here, but very low on gas right now for SnOw. Oh my God, I think he did it, Tasteless. Wait, but he has no more units in the top right. SoulKey is mining from top right again.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have like just 2 Zealots right-click that down.
Yeah.
Like that there definitely was a mistake there. By the way, SnOw's going to mine out. You know, the same can be said for SoulKey, but I think SnOw's going to be more mined out, so to speak. And, you know, the Lurkers are just doing so much damage. We never had a Reaver made. I got to say, I'm a little bit stunned. I feel like this game is starting to die down here. You know, there's just so much damage being dealt over here to Protoss.
You know, this game feels like it was so hectic after he got his bases up. I think that's why we never really saw that transition. You know, more Zealots coming out. The Dark Storm actually really working in his favor at this point. The Hydra's rotating around to hit the probes here at this mineral base. Snipes a couple and runs away.
Yeah, I mean, look, if SnOw loses this base, this has been kind of the focal point of this entire match in the later half here. I think he will lose the game. He will have no money. I think the Natural still has resources, but I don't think there's probes mining at it. Oh, I wish we could have gone back. I think there's like 1 probe mining and there's like 4 or 5 patches, so that's another weird factor. But yeah, both sides are going to start to run out of money here.
They're both at like 80s of supply, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that we had SnOw on 5 bases, and now he's sitting here at
so
97
crazy.
supply, barely mining. This is one of the craziest PvZs we've ever had. Absolute
It's wild,
madness.
man. I mean, it's gone on for so long. We're already over a half hour. It could be on for another half hour, by the way. It doesn't have to end one way or the other. But both sides are getting pretty desperate. Resources are drying up. A fresh base is going to be needed for both the Zerg and the Protoss. Seems like SnOw has finally decided to move out on the map, and I don't see a counterattack set up to try to hit this from another angle. Remember that, you know, the Lurkers en masse, they really do melt the the Zealot Archon composition. It just stands no chance, but of course Dragoons are already useless because Dark Swarm mutes any of their potential in a fight. And actually, this is not as many minerals as I thought were available here, so that's going to mine out in a second.
It feels like it's easier for SnOw to take another base than SoulKey. I don't see a base that's obvious for SoulKey to take. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't feel like he can easily reach into any other area, whereas SnOw could retake that base that died down at 6. You know, that seems pretty reasonable. Like I could see him going down there relatively soon. Like he's starting to zone this area. We just saw DT clear out the Lings that were down there. I could definitely see him trying to sneak off 400 minerals and get a Nexus going. But for SoulKey, nowhere looks safe.
So, I mean, for now, this game has really slowed down. Each side is starting to run out of resources here. And I think it's very intentional that SnOw hasn't just rushed for another base. He's basically just checking the map and macroing. He probably wants to take his base at the last possible second. See if there's any opportunities to push in anywhere. Seeing how saturated those drones are over there should tell him that he's definitely in a position where you know, that's going to be one of the last mining bases. Man, both these Templars are just going to go down? No, not without a fight.
Yeah, gonna get his storms off. Okay, he's hitting it. Some plagues going down. The Archons don't really care that much. The Dragoons, of course, not as useful here anyways, but they're not supposed to be getting hit at the moment. Still doing a good job holding everything, but those minerals are almost gone. SoulKey knows that SnOw has to expand soon, by the way. Like, he just sent Lings down to check.
Well, they both do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, And I think SnOw is very intentionally just running the clock. He's just going to stay back, take fights, macro, and at the last second, like when he doesn't need this fourth base anymore, the last 400 resources are going to go down here, the place we're looking at now. He wants to set up something there where SoulKey can't get into a position where he can like hit the weak spot, counterattack into this or that. And now SnOw's going to try to fight his way up here where the lurkers are morphing in.
I want to say that I think that SnOw is getting very close to taking this. SoulKey is not able to really get in here. He's plagued like 100 times. But it's like SnOw is just maneuvering very, very well.
When Templar's out, he gets a very good storm. Nice position there with that. He gets another good storm off over here. You know, the lurker count is low enough that it's not able to really obliterate these zealots. You know, you get 5 or 6 together, and the zealots can't even get in there to touch them.
He tried the DT play again. Gets a few kills up there, but that gets cleared out pretty quickly this time at least. Couple more.
Yeah, I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, a couple lurkers left over here will be killed as well. I don't think SoulKey has anything left. He doesn't have enough money for a hatchery or anything.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of been forced into a pretty bad position here. And this is really all going to come down to this bottom base here at 6. If he can get pylons and cannons up here and fill this up with probes, there's going to be so much more time to produce. Where are these drones going exactly?
I guess long distance. Mine from that top leftish base at like 10 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, he's only got these tiny groups of Zerglings left in like a Defiler. I think SnOw could roll him over now.
And worse.
Yeah. What an insane
I think he just wants to
game.
I don't think he has to pull the trigger until there's a new hatchery somewhere.
Yeah.
Not a lot of probes, by the way, mining at this fresh base. It's something like 7 or 8.
You know, putting this pressure on though is good because you might bait SoulKey into making more units, which means no hatchery money.
Right.
And he might, like, yeah, that's it.
GG.
Wow, what a game. What a game.
Did you see that the drones were not returning it to the closest hatchery? They were trying to return it to the main. That's the closest it was on the map.
Yeah, that happens
That might have
sometimes.
been what made him leave, where he's like, oh, forget about this. Let's go into the next game.
Yeah.
So, SnOw is now up 2-1. SoulKey, the ASL 3-time in a row champion, is now down in the series. This is wild.
Yeah. And remember how that game started. Double gate in the center.
Yeah.
So, you know, definitely put SoulKey on a back foot there. SoulKey had an opportunity, I think, to maybe win that game. It didn't quite go his way, that big attack into the mineral base. It actually, for a minute there, I thought SnOw was dead. You know, when he had all those lurkers and SnOw is sitting there with a bunch of Dragoons that can't hit anything under Dark Swarm. It was getting scary. But great comeback there from SnOw. Great comeback from SoulKey. What a game. What a game.
I really enjoyed that. I learned a lot. I didn't think there was that much more to learn about proxy and 2 gates in the middle of the map, but apparently there is. Very, very interested to see how he handled that. I did not think that SnOw was going to do proxy gate at all here. You know, I thought he was going to play more standard traditional. Anyways, guys, the next map we're going to is not standard or traditional. It's going to be Death Valley. We'll be going to that after this break.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 올리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 4%.
We are back. What's up, everybody? Quite the game back there. We went to like endgame PVZ. One of the games that started out with Proxy Gate in the center of the map. That's wild. The build that generally makes for the shortest games in StarCraft ended up being one of the longest games in that matchup. That's crazy. Nobody was really able to expand. It was very tight, late game, but low supply. SoulKey with this kind of endless wave of lurkers. SnOw almost dying out, but ultimately he persevered. He pushed through and stabilized. Now for map 4, which is Death Valley.
I think that you can learn a lot from watching Best versus Queen here. I think you got to mine out those back minerals as Protoss really quickly. And I don't know what else, but I loved the recalls that we saw from Best. Would love to see that again. I don't think we will, but hoping for it.
Season 19.
Okay, SoulKey in the bottom right, SnOw in the top left. On this map that has brought us a lot of interesting games. Yeah, let's see if Arbiters are used here, man. That would be a lot of fun. You know, it's awesome. A unit I forget even exists in this matchup.
Yeah. Oh
my God, he's going to 5-pool.
5-pool. Well, why not?
You know, he does 5-pool more than everybody else in ASL history.
Pretty much.
It's wild how much he does this, yeah.
Well, 815 is the king of 4-pools, so we got to give credit where it's due. But, yeah, the 5-pool, I guess maybe a little bit better against Protoss. I don't know. Honestly, the timing is only a few seconds difference. But,
right, it's like 5 seconds later than a 4-pool when the Lings hatch.
That, yeah. Okay, so... You know, SnOw's going to be able to scout this pretty quickly. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what you do is you make a pylon in your main and you make a forge right out of the front. So you have a cannon in the main base and you just give up your front area, right?
That's correct, yeah. And then you basically go 2-gate. And I think it still favors the Protoss, but, you know, there's always these fundamental problems that come with one basing as Protoss, where, like, maybe this is technically harder for the Zerg, but, like, usually the Zerg can expand and get something that's going to make this work. Is he going to be able to block this with the drone? Oh my God.
That's funny.
I did not even think that this would be...
That didn't occur to me as a possibility.
Didn't occur to me at all that, you could just block this off.
Oh, what? What am I even looking at? How do you do that?
How did that even happen? What?
I think
probe turned into like Peter Pan and just flew around and then went inside the base.
I can explain exactly what he did. He pulled the probe in front of the drone chasing him, and then he drilled it back to his base. As soon as he was on top of the drone, he hit stop and right-clicked it, and it was glitched, and it got to go over everything. That was insane from SnOw. To be able to pull that off right there, like, that was super well done.
I'm really excited to see exactly how SnOw handles this.
I think
so. Let's see. He should have the forge making at the entrance. By the way, you have to have the forge out there in the front, guys, because there's nowhere to build anything, because that's the only pylon you have. And then you get another pylon in your main, and this is what you do. One cannon sets up over here, and then I think the play is actually 2 gateways, but I could be wrong. We're going to find out.
Yeah, I believe you're exactly correct. I just remember this. You told me about this like a long time ago as the counter. And it looks like that's what he's doing. He's set up the gateway. He's just going to block the Zerglings from hitting the cannon. This is basically how you deal with a 4-pool, too. If you can just if you literally make a bunker, get 1 Marine in it, the 4-pool's over and you win. You know, this is...
Right.
I would assume that this is very similar in this matchup, where because you're making probes nonstop and then you just start making zealots nonstop, and it's like, Zerg just can't really recover very well. But you know what? Because of it's this map, he can kill off the assimilators, and then you can't put on zealot pressure.
Oh, I just did not realize that at all.
And now SoulKey has that whole side of the map to himself. What?
Whoa. Okay,
I guess it makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at this and I'm like, well, I mean, there's a reason why we don't see this almost ever in ASL, and it's like one of these formulas that, like, if you're a ladder player, this is a great game to see, because now you know how to stop the 4-pool, or the 5-pool in this case. You know, it's one cannon, you get the gateways up, you basically are making probes the whole time, kill off, you know, and then you start to put pressure on. But because the geysers have been killed, now this base is free. And the Lings are right now able to run around and deny any probes from mining there.
You can drone
So,
up
like,
completely. They can't put any pressure on you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So right now, SnOw is on an island. It's an island map versus a player that has access to all of the land on the map. It's a completely asymmetric relationship these guys have with each other. This is so interesting.
Really smart. Really smart from SoulKey. And I mean, that's what he is. You could tell, man. As soon as I saw he was wearing glasses when I first met him, I'm like, this guy's smart.
This guy's a real genius over here, man. Is his eyesight bad? We're talking about a real genius.
How many books do you have to read to get glasses? That's crazy.
So he's going to send another drone up here, and he's just going to basically expand to this island location that SnOw has no access to. This is going to be a nightmare of a mid-game for SnOw. I don't even know how he can get an advantage here.
I don't either. This looks terrible, because normally you would just put on pressure with the Zealots, and that would end it. You know, you'd just like kind of lean on Zerg, but SoulKey's just making nothing but drones. He's slowing down, even taking out that side. And the thing is, even if SnOw takes out the side, it's not like he can walk the Zealots across the map and attack. There's minerals there. Oh, glitching. Nice. Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just going for these probes over and over. All right, so he's going to actually bug 2 in. He made that look easier than it actually, I think it's supposed
actually,
to be.
Yeah, the jumps are actually pretty hard.
Yeah.
And SoulKey's watching for this anyways.
He's such a good gamer, Tastosis.
Dude, these gamers are so
He has
strong.
all the video games in his house, all the consoles. He's got all the controllers.
Dude, yeah. He's the best in his neighborhood by far. His whole school, even.
Uh-huh. We're talking Mortal Kombat, GoldenEye, Smash Brothers,
Mario Kart.
He's got it. Absolutely. He doesn't even play that much Mario Kart, but he's still that good.
Well, he loses the probe out there. Maybe you wanted that, maybe not, but he can't really put any pressure on, man. I really don't know where you're supposed to go from here. Like,
well, I mean, you have a Zerg that's basically on an island with 3 bases to a Protoss that just got off his island. He's getting an expansion up here. And right now, he's going right into mutas. I mean, he can basically get as many mutas as he wants here. And mutas are already strong against a Protoss that was on 1 base, taking a late 2nd base.
Huh. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, just strategically, how do you go against SoulKey here? Like, can you go Corsair for a bit and just own the left side of the map and use Corsairs to keep him off your back? Like, I'm not, because like SoulKey can't really attack SnOw, but SoulKey gets to decide when attacks occur. SnOw doesn't really get to decide anything.
Maybe he should go for double starport. That feels risky, but like maybe that's what you want to do is just like
I think that's
look
smart.
at what he's doing and go, oh, I'm just going to make my own massive fleet of Corsairs, and it's going to be, you know, the 2 of us just kind of crashing into each other.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what he's going to do. Okay, good.
11 Corsairs sounds right. 11 plus 1 Corsairs just to make sure that the air is not lost, and then just play heavily on the left-hand side. But like, if SoulKey gets a foothold on the left-hand side, plus he has the entire right-hand side, I mean, you're going to have to try to utilize some speed shuttles to harass the right side, right?
I think so. Well, I don't know. I mean,
you're going to have to go mass scouts with speed upgrade, right?
You know what I think he should have done, actually? Just kind of thinking out loud here. I think he should have actually gone and glitched a probe through and hit a gateway in the top right somewhere,
like
and then made DTs, and then, you know, just had stuff coming that way, because...
And then mind controlled a drone?
And then mind controlled a drone, and then he goes straight into his own mutas with armor upgrades, okay? Yeah, you guys follow me?
Plus 1 Corsairs and plus 1 armor mutas against just mutas? Dude, rat.
That's how you beat a Zerg, exactly. So he's going to get a Citadel. Zerg is mining out these minerals, by the way, over here, so he's eventually going to have access to his side of the map. SnOw playing such a difficult game. Oh my god, great scout. He sees the double Stargate.
A lot of Zealots still being made, though. So, you know, if he does try to come down, you know, this could be dangerous in a way, mining out those minerals. Because you allow the Zealots that have been made for a long time to kind of get out there and do what they want.
Sure,
Dude,
sure.
I don't know. It's just there's so many possibilities in this game. Like, we're guessing and we're doing our best to kind of theory craft. Obviously, these guys have been thinking about this for a while. SoulKey has some great plans. I think SnOw was probably caught off guard by the 5 pool. You know, I think that might have ruined a lot of his plans.
I think so, yeah. Well, it's funny because we didn't even really get why he was doing it until we saw him attack the gas geysers. And it's like, oh, you know, he should have made 1 Dragoon, by the way, just so he could kill drones trying to mine that. Just buy a little bit more time.
Yeah, I guess if your opponent does go mutas, then you can clear it pretty quick. But yeah, I've liked that in the other matchups.
Did he mess up his mining at his gas? In his main base, is the Templar Archives, does that actually make the probes go the long way? Is he going to have like 7 workers in there to mine gas?
Oh, I don't know. I definitely didn't see that.
Corsair is still moving around, doing a lot of damage. Easily takes out that Overlord. Honestly, SnOw seems to be okay. I mean, it was a nightmare of an early game, but here we are. SoulKey's going to be taking his 4th base. That's probably going to be the target to hit. And it looks like, yeah, he did mess up his placement.
Yeah.
So he needs like 7 or 8 probes to mine from that.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy to see that in a pro game. ASL semifinals.
Stuff like that occasionally does happen to all of us. It's kind of cathartic to see.
Yep.
It's like every now and then, man, you know how many games you've played, you'll put a building in the wrong place. And every now and then it'll be a missile turret, and I'm like, oh, my mining is completely jacked. I'll even trap them on my mineral patch. I'm like, oh. That's not optimal.
So he's going to try to bug a DT through here.
Do you kill the Ling? Or do you just
I think the play is to just hide a probe on the map and make a gateway somewhere up here. I think he could get so much done. All right, well, he gets 1 probe through.
Yeah, maybe
he can try to expand or you know, do something. But, you know, you can turn this advantage that Zerg has into a disadvantage by having like a ton of DTs coming out here because they're just not going to be defending the same way they normally would.
Well, he does have a couple DTs out there right now. Plenty of defense at that natural expansion for SnOw. Needs to think about another base. He sends something. Okay, he actually starts his 3rd base, but he takes the mineral only. So, you know, when SnOw takes mineral onlys, normally he uses that and leapfrogs to a other base. Like, he gets the mineral only, and that kind of pays for cannons and, like, another Nexus. I feel like every time he takes a mineral only as his 3rd, that's how he plays it.
Yeah. I mean, you'll always take the mineral only if you can because you need to make zealots and nexuses and cannons, but you do want the bases with gas. That is very important. Lings are going to come through here and try to snipe a Templar. Don't think he's going to get it. Looks like that's cleaned up pretty easily. And we're going into a macro game, man. This could be another long one here, too. God, it's so painful to see these probes mining inefficiently.
Yeah. Well, sometimes things like that happen. Like, the thing is, the value of the Templar Archives, like, you can't get rid of it. I guess after you finish the upgrades that you want, like Kadarin Amulet finishes, you could remake it and kill it, but by that point, you know, you're going to be mining out anyways. It's only 2 probes extra or 3 probes extra that you're mining with, which costs less than a Templar Archives, so...
Good zoning here from SnOw. He's going to back up. He needs to retreat to where the cannons are. The lurker spread's pretty nice. But I don't think that SoulKey's going to be able to contest this base. I mean, the cannons are going to be up. There's plenty of Zealots and Templars here. Probes are now being transferred.
With SoulKey on 4 bases already, like I'm not sure about that, running up and sniping these. Like, obviously...
I think this is bad.
Yeah, if there was no detection, the lurkers could dominate, but, like, you're not going to get all those cannons. And SnOw is dancing too well with the Zealots. You're not going to be able to, like, slip a lurker up to the corner or something. It's not going to happen. But SoulKey right now on 4 bases against SnOw, who's, you know, he gets his 3rd up, but it is mineral only. I still feel like this is very heavily favored for SoulKey. Like, I don't see SnOw doing anything special that's going to get him back.
Well, here's the thing. The bases on the far right, they're just not going to be touched. Maybe it'll be storm dropped or something. This DT play is pretty good. This is like one way to kind of get value here. But yeah, I mean, like, look, that's basically a no-go zone. It's too hard for Protoss to get over there. And then you have this bottom left side of the map, which I think is just inherently a lot more interesting. But there's more expansions on both sides, for both sides on this map. And Zerg's going to at least get 2 more bases if this game goes on for a long time. So I think what will happen in this game is it'll come down to, can the Protoss stop the Zerg from expanding on this side of the map? Otherwise, I think it's a pretty straightforward win here for SoulKey long term.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I'm looking at here as well. It's just the extra bases. If everything else plays out normal, it's those top right bases that are just going to end up crushing. And I honestly don't even know because, like, okay, well, that's kind of a cute little lurker drug. I'm trying to think from the Protoss point of view, like what you could possibly do here. The only thing that's coming to my mind is trying to utilize speed shuttles like a little bit more, but that's like not that weird anyways. You know, everything that comes up is kind of standard, and if it's standard stuff, that's where SoulKey's strategy should just really crush. So like
the last game that we had, it was kind of exceptional because it was like super low econ, low supply. So it was like they're trying to just muster whatever they can to fight with. But if we get into a standard long game here, yeah, we should have speed shuttles with Templar storm dropping everywhere. That is one of the strongest things in the late game in PvZ is just storm dropping.
Wouldn't mind seeing him trying something like that. He does need another gas space though, so I feel like right now that's and he starts his 4th Nexus over at that gas space. If he can hold that and kind of like zone everything out for a bit, you know. But SoulKey's on 5 base.
Man, this is a lot of Overlords being picked off over here. That's going to supply block SoulKey. Protoss is nearly maxed out, so he should have a push coming in here. He's also getting his 4th base. The Hive Tech is started. Usually the Protoss wants to push before the Hive Tech is done. That's kind of a general rule. If you're able to develop, normally you have all the stuff you need, the right upgrades, the right composition of units, to try to move out on the map and start to slam the Zerg. Generally, this matchup in PvZ is won with a push. It's pretty hard to win if you go into like crazy late game and you're both mining out the map.
Yeah.
That's probably slightly Zerg favored. The same way that Terran needs to kill Zerg with a push. It's kind of the same thing here for Protoss.
Yeah, Zerg Supreme late game is insanity. You know, the fact that they can switch their units into anything instantly, and they really have tools to deal with everything. Well, a tool to deal with everything is called the Defiler.
Yeah, the Defiler is just so good.
It's the best unit ever made in any RTS.
It's insane.
I challenge you to find anything stronger than the Defiler in any game.
Now, I do think there's a world where we're going to have a huge Overlord drop in the Protoss's main. I don't know when it's going to come. You can kind of see that SnOw's aware of this. He's like the Corsairs outside of his base are kind of a nod to that. But like if you got a huge drop inside of the main base, oh god, SnOw would lose everything he's got over there. Defiler Mound started, by the way. Once Dark Swarm is out, you can't really push. Similar to TVZ.
Well, he's getting his support bay. So maybe we'll see some Reavers.
Yeah.
I think definitely we'll see Speed Shuttle. And here comes some of that drop play as well. This is going to be a little bit of a problem. I feel like you're going to have to set this up like we sometimes see in like StarCraft 2 games and occasionally in a StarCraft 1 game where you have some cannons in there, you leave a couple High Templars and, you know, you're just like... You acknowledge that you need permanent defense there.
Right. Nice Storms. Takes out both of the Lurkers. What's actually here to defend? A couple more Lurkers in the back. He needs to keep just his Dragoons up here in the front. Going to blanket this area with a couple more Psy Storms. Nicely done. Making some real progress over here. And it looks like there's a big counterattack, but apparently SnOw's ready for that as well.
Yeah, SoulKey was on like a move command maybe there for a minute. Definitely takes a lot of damage from the Zealot Dragoon. No real splash damage there, but still ending up taking a very good fight.
Yeah, right now, you know, SoulKey not able to make much headway. SnOw is still pushing. He's got decent supply. It's hard to imagine pushing into a max Zerg, though. There's just so much there. Maybe he could bust this? No, there's too many Lurkers over there as well.
No, I think the grinding approach is really the way to go about it. And he's already going up into that Reaver tech. Like, run around and find these clumped up positions, get those great Psy Storms off. That's awesome to see. Oof. But SoulKey just has such a nice economy here. Even though he's like being really efficient with the Psy Storms and with the Dragoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bases, man. Just wild.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that SoulKey will have drank in so much more of the map, right? Like, I don't think any of these two bases on the outside, because all the action is going to be happening in this bottom left, side of the map.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, I mean, SoulKey is just going to get so much value. The push is going to try to come here, but we're already kind of past the point. He's even expanding into one of SnOw's bases, which I guess you can do. I guess the reality is there's no way for SnOw to really get over there. Protoss in this matchup, they're really they struggle to fight Zerg on any kind of island position because there's just no easy way to get over there. I mean, how many shuttles of units for Protoss can you have and then drop somewhere and still be viable, right? Compared to like just a bunch of Hydras somewhere.
Well, against Terran you can do it, but yeah, against Zerg it's so much harder to maneuver and deal with the lurkers that are burrowed, the Hydras that all hit air there and do well against ground. Very, very difficult. And like he's trying to push this position. Thing is, that's the least valuable base SoulKey has. It's mineral base.
Right.
It's
he's just trying to take whatever he can get. Yeah.
And is SoulKey, expanding to his milkshake up there and the old Protoss natural? It's no good for SnOw. He's got a Reaver, he's got some shuttles. I hope he gets multiple robos.
The number of missed storms on this one lurker, I don't know if you guys have followed this. It's like 3 now or something. This lurker's like at full HP. It's unstoppable.
Wouldn't that be funny if Darkstorm stopped? Well, Psystorm is a ranged spell, so it doesn't deal damage under Darkstorm.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It does less damage to burrowed units when Darkstorm is over it. It's like, oh, great.
It's already bad enough, I think. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's just not making any headway anywhere.
He's not.
I mean, Zerg's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base Zerg. No, I'm sorry, 7 base Zerg because of this expansion that he took over next to SnOw.
I wonder if there's like, could he, I don't know, get 3-4 speed shuttles? Like keep on doing little engages like this and grinding a little bit and keeping SoulKey's attention a bit. But if he gets 3 or 4 shuttles, like could he dive in and kill a base somewhere with the shuttles and then get back in time to defend a counterattack? Is that like a doable idea here?
What was the question? Sorry, Artosis?
So like, I want him to grind like he's grinding here, but like I also feel like he needs to do something else. So I'm just wondering, like 4 or 5 speed shuttles, is there a way to like ferry over, attack a base real quick, then come back and defend the counterattack?
I don't think so, man.
No?
I mean, you really just don't have enough time to make that many shuttles. You're losing observers the whole game.
Yeah.
He is finally getting Reavers, which he needs to have, which is probably the only thing that's going to let him survive a Dark Swarm push, is having Reavers out here. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the issue. I think it's why we saw that Arbiter eventually made. And even then, the Arbiter's like not exactly great, right? Like you recall your whole army somewhere and win a fight, and then that army's stuck over in that part until you can recall it back. So there's a lot of problems that kind of come with this. SoulKey, by the way, has played maybe the best Death Valley game we've ever seen. He's just shown from the very start of the map how to get ahead. He's played pretty much perfectly as far as expanding and growing here. This all goes back to that 5 pool. The fact that SnOw was unable to interact with the upper right side of the map.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're right in a lot of ways, although Best played the best Death Valley game ever on this map. So even though he lost that one, still I would consider that the best ever played. But no, the 5 pool was big brain stuff. To just it was a 5 pool macro build. Like, what is that? Why can you 5 pull and it's a macro build? That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem fair.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, because when you see a 5 pull, normally you're like, oh, you're going to try to end the game. It's like, no, I'm going to kill his forge and kill the geysers, and I'm going to get ahead that way.
Yeah,
and I've basically practiced this perfectly. Like, I don't even think about the geysers that much as far as like an early game rush,
Yeah.
That never even occurred to me. That, like, yeah, you would just... They would have to make a cannon and a gateway in their main, which means you get to kill it, and then all of a sudden you're in one of the easiest late games ever.
Yeah, it's a 3-base build, 5 pool, it turns out. Very cool to know.
Yeah, it's actually a macro play, yeah.
It's the fastest 3-base that you can really get up full of drones. Fastest drone saturation. All right, here comes another attack in from SoulKey. There is Psystorm here, there are Zealots, there's a Reaver. The thing is, he's Plague grinding, which is... the Plague grind is such a problem. Reavers do not have that much health, man. Like, look at that. He's down to 80 shields and 2 health from the Plague. How are you to keep these things alive? Like, even Zerglings can pick it off at this point.
By the way, we've got the last base being taken on the map, so we're out of expansions now. SoulKey's basically doing these really good counterattacks on this side of the map, realizing that, like, The defenses are a little bit sparse, so if he just hammers hard, he's going to wipe this. Again, no hull HP on that Reaver. It gets wiped out so easily. I think SnOw, he might stay in this game a little bit longer, but he's just like not able to get anything done. I mean, SoulKey is like this giant impregnable fortress here on the map.
He's just being completely dominated in this game, and honestly, it's not even SnOw's fault. Like, this is a crazy map, and like, I'm sure now that we've seen that, let's say it's a SoulKey best finals. Best will have a different strategy that accounts for 5-pool here, 100%. Because we saw the strength of this, and it's like, yeah, SnOw wasn't supposed to be able to win this. When SoulKey knocked everything down, that was pretty much it. And you know, there's not.
It seems like you can't go for gateway expand. Or sorry, forge expand. You'd have to go for gateway expand or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Gateway expand completely shuts down 5-pool.
It does.
You just get like a battery, and then you send like 3 or 4 probes, and you just win the game.
Yeah, you bring.
It's so easy, and then you have counterplay immediately.
Yeah. So, not looking too good. Like, SnOw is trying to be efficient, and I guess in a lot of ways he is. But SoulKey will just never stop at this point. He's got so many bases. So, you know, SnOw picks one off, so that's cool. But you can see the differential in supply. You can see the fact that SnOw is out of gas at this point.
Right. I mean, this is looking pretty rough here. The lurkers are going to come up again. You know, it just doesn't seem like there's any obvious target that SnOw could try to push into to make this work. It goes to show you, like, this is what you can do. If you have enough lurkers in a crazy long game like this, it's just so hard to fight overall, especially with Plague. I mean, you Plague Zealots and Reavers and Dragoons, and the lurker spikes are just so devastating.
Well, Plague is insane. You can't dodge it, and Protoss doesn't heal anything other than shields. And shields take full damage from everything and are lower than hit points. So it's just... Plague is actually dumb. Like I said, I challenge anyone to find a better RTS unit than the Defiler. It's just like undodgeable Psystorm for 300 damage. Okay. I guess
yeah,
so.
it's kind of crazy.
Oh, and here's another one because I just have to eat 3 Zerglings to get it back. 75 minerals
I can cast it as many times as I want, as long as I have the cheapest unit in the whole game.
Yeah. It's crazy. You know, we talk about how great StarCraft is without a patch. If you let me patch this game, Tastosis, I'll fix it.
Yeah, we would.
SoulKey won't
patch
be winning
this
next
unit
season.
out of the game. No more Defilers.
Like, yeah, Darkstorm is damage reduction, and Consume is regeneration rate buff.
The Defiler only casts Parasite. How about that? It gets all the Queen spells.
Mutalisk range reduced by 1. No glaives. All right.
Another big attack coming in here. I don't know that SoulKey even has to do this. This has been like basically watching SnOw kind of slowly lose this game forever.
Yeah.
Probably going to be another half-hour game, by the way.
Oh, I guess so. You're right. Well, this is like
it's been a long, crazy game.
This is SnOw's Thermopylae, man. There was no way he was going to stop the Persians here, and like he's trying his best. He's very brave. He's very brave. Protosses will sing songs about how he tried to stop the 5-pool macro build, but it's not going to happen.
They will build statues of him, you know, and they will celebrate him. He will have a holiday, but this is not going to end well. I mean, even this final base, like over time, SoulKey's just going to chew it down. He's going to grind this down to powder.
Doesn't matter how inefficient he is.
Well, he has so many bases, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can just throw everything at this. This has now become like one of those campaign missions where you got to survive against a Zerg for 30 minutes, but he actually survives for 30 minutes, and then the game doesn't end, and he still loses. It's like, huh.
Broken trigger. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry, man. You actually have to go kill him, it turns out. Sorry about that whole 30 minutes of survival thing.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God, the lurker count's so high.
Yeah, it's non-stop. He's just got so many resources going on. Gonna blow up this base.
He should have made more Reavers. He should have had a Robo over here and just had, you know, 3 or 4 Reavers and maybe even tried to, like, slow Reaver push across this position into where the Zerg is. I think SnOw is a little bit late on the Reaver play. It's interesting. He seems to be pretty Reaver light overall, and maybe this is just me not understanding the way to play the game. In the modern era, I don't know. But yeah. But the lurker count is just becoming unstoppable.
Honestly, what he should have done is just mass carrier Psystorm. The true best comp in the game. But, yeah, we'll see if Best is able to intuit that strategy if he hits SoulKey in that finals. But the funny thing is, this is so crazy, and this is such a tough game. He still put up an insane fight, and this is only going to tie the match. It's not like SoulKey is pulling ahead with this victory and is close to the finals, you know? This is just going to make it 2-2.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, there it is, GG. I was wondering when this is going to finally end. Look, that was a build order map strategy win.
Yep.
I would not, if I was SnOw, I would not let that affect me. That
Absolutely
cannot
not.
be replicated. That cannot be recreated. And he played a great game there, even though he lost. That was uphill for an entire half hour. Once the 5-pool got there, it was literally all uphill. He marched uphill, didn't manage to win the game. But, you know, SoulKey really taking that map, turning it into such a favor for him, and playing an easy game.
Yeah, it was a masterful idea from SoulKey. And, you know, it's just not something that's easy to prepare for. You know, if SnOw, one of SnOw's practice partners had come up with that, then maybe he would have had some counterplay. But you can tell that no one did.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you and I couldn't figure it out until he attacked the geysers.
No,
so
it wasn't until he actually started attacking. I went, oh, that's why.
It's like, oh, it's a macro
Because generally, 5-pool, Protoss will win that. Like, when you get the 2 gateways up, you just send your zealots across the map, and they don't have enough drones to, like, keep droning and make lings. And so it's a very basic game. You take a Nexus, and you build out. So I just thought, okay, well, this is going to be very, very simple. But as the game went on, I went, oh, you're stuck on an island with 2 gateways. You can't even get off your island. This sucks for Protoss. Just brutal.
All right. You know, tied up 2-2. I can't believe it's 2-2 right now.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 올리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 5%.
Welcome back, everybody. We're tied. What is it? 2-2 now, Tastosis?
I can't believe it. As I was saying, man,
I can't
after a game like that, we're only tied up 2-2.
Yeah. I had to like double check because the games have been so long. I'm like, this is as long as some best of sevens are in general right now, and we're like just barely halfway through it. I love it though. These games have been so good. We're gonna go to Deja Vu. I think this is a tough one for Protoss in the mid game. I think Lurker Contains are very scary here.
That's true. That's true. Well, hopefully SnOw has something planned to try to deal with that.
ASL Season 19.
Okay, SnOw in the top right, SoulKey in the top left. And this map, you got to be careful. Lurker Contains are brutal. Like, if you just go for Lurker play, you know, the center of the map, not exactly the center, but the way that you'd get out of your natural base, you have to go from low ground to high ground. If you can litter that with Lurkers and Hydralisks, it's so hard for Protoss to push. I know we don't have Lurker Contains that often, but I think you'd be crazy not to go for that on a map like this.
It's definitely very, very hard. Anything postured on that middle donut, you know, has a lot of potential. You're going to miss shots. They can always counterattack as well. And referring to some of my matches against SnOw, clowns on me every time we play. Like, seriously, clowns. Like, I'll beat him with PCs this time. I'll beat him with scouts this time. So it's humbling, Tasteless.
It's crazy. Like, when, you know, at a certain level, it's so hard to even style on somebody when you get good enough at the game. Like, you have to follow these certain rules and parameters so closely. The idea that, like, he can go for battle cruisers and beat you is just a testament to how god tier he is.
Yeah. It's just a completely different universes. Now, one thing I do want to mention is just where they spawned. The third base of SnOw points right towards SoulKey. So not only is it a great idea to do a Lurker Containment, the third base will be extra hard for SnOw to take. You know, anytime you have a layout like this, because, like, basically, like, that 12 o'clock-ish base, that's supposed to be SnOw's third base. And so the fact that SoulKey can be above and very quickly move from a containment to an attack on either side, it's very hard to hold. Like, for instance, if you play Terran versus Protoss here, it's a similar dynamic, where if we're in these positions, if I'm in SnOw's position and Protoss is in the other position, I'll have to take the high ground before taking the third, because the attacks are too strong.
Right.
You can't split your army well. And the same type of thing could happen here to SnOw.
So SnOw's doing some decent probe harass, just trying to get as many moving shots onto that drone as possible. It's going to be the modernized Forge expand, with the Forge tucked further back and the gateway jutted out into the front. And it looks like for now we're going into a pretty standard game here. No cannon rush was triggered here because the Zerg went for the pool before the hatchery of the expansion, which basically mutes any potential for that. And now SnOw's just going to be orbiting around the base trying to see if anything's out of the ordinary. Is this a standard game, or are you trying to cheese me, or what? And for Zerg, we don't have the gas yet, so we don't know what exactly he wants to do. We don't see if it's a layer, we don't see if it's a Hydra Den or anything like that.
The probe kept alive, getting that gateway up for SnOw. You know, one thing I'm thinking about watching this series and remembering back to Best versus Queen.
Yeah.
I never felt at any stage in Brood War this was the case, but I actually think right now Protoss versus Zerg is the most entertaining matchup to watch. Like,
you think so?
Like, for me personally, most people say, you know, Terran versus Zerg is super. Like, that's the classic matchup. Everyone loves to watch that. And I think TVP has generally been in a good state for watching for a long time. But the PVZs that we've had in this last half of ASL are way better than the TVZs and are way better than the TVPs. At least in this ASL tournament, these have been amazing matches.
Oh my god. Oh my god. He's just going to run in here and take this out?
No, he's going to lose all those lanes. It was terrible.
Yes.
I wasn't even going to
insane.
mention that he was attacking there. I'm like, well, that's dumb. But
you saw that so far in the future, Tastosis. You're like, there's not even a point in me saying anything.
Yeah.
Like, it just move right on.
I knew it would have 1 or 2 hits left.
I cannot believe he didn't kill that.
Yeah. He can't either. He's like, oh
no.
no.
You made an interesting point though. Yeah, PVZ has been in a really good spot.
Yeah.
I think maybe my favorite matchup to cast and to watch has always been PVT.
Yeah.
I've always been super fascinated with the way that works.
Me
and I
as
think
well.
It's fun for us because you're a Terran and I'm a Protoss, so we both have these insights. But you're right, PVZ has been really cool to see. It's been a matchup that is made for some really interesting, exceptional games. I mean, I still can't believe even today we had a game where it was center gate into a 30-minute game. That's so wild.
Yeah. Just some outstanding ones. It does look like we're going to have a 3-hatch Hydra follow-up from SoulKey. So he's going pretty damn all in. Second cannon coming up, and even that additional pylon to power it. Seems like his starport, or his Stargate rather, will get that Corsair out in plenty of time to scout what's going on. Definitely feels like a very SnOw favored game at the moment.
So, the reality is that SoulKey's already hurting. From losing all those Lings and not forcing anything from the Protoss, it's pretty bad. SnOw's now got his second gas up. He's getting Corsairs, but the Hydra bust, this is already a Wallen that's going to be pretty solid versus the Hydra bust. I'm glad we actually have a Hydra bust coming with this Wallen up so we can kind of illustrate to the audience how this is so strong. The gateway is so far forward, and the Forge it's impossible to snipe off. A lot of times, like, you'll survive a Hydra bust and still lose the Forge, and it's still kind of a bad position. But, yeah, let's see what happens this time around.
Well, he sees what's going on. Got to start adding those cannons immediately. And I don't think this is really going to be too much of a problem from SnOw. Like, he's already very good at holding on against busts like this, but he scouted it plenty early. Plus, he already has that economic advantage. It's like a worse position than normal for SoulKey. So I don't know if he tries to, like... Yeah, I was going to say, tries to, like, fake it, like, drones up behind. But SnOw is so on top of these 2 Corsairs flying around. Like, he already saw drones popping. He's going to get up here. He's going to see the lair very likely. And so he can just add his gateways and keep the pressure on in that way. Yeah, see, he cancels a cannon.
See, he does not care if he loses this gateway. You're happy to remake this up here. The gateway can never be defended. That's why it's so far out. But the Forge is pretty comfortable. The Forge is basically covered by all these cannons. So you'd have to get rid of the whole front line of cannons to even get anything done. And that's quite the dive to come in there with. So, killing the gateway, it doesn't really stop the Protoss from doing anything. The Protoss is more than happy to just not use that gateway, throw down more gates in the main, and get back to developing.
And this is exactly what he's doing, adding those gates up. Some Lings come to the front. I don't think so. No, it looks like Protoss has just enough to hold everything still at this point. The Zealots come up to kind of meet those Lings, even has a probe up there helping as well. And yeah, you can see it. Like, SnOw literally has exactly the right amount.
This isn't going to do anything, I mean, he's just got enough Zealots over here. He's going to try to snipe the cannons. Basically, you can remake this layer of cannons in the front. As long as there's a couple in the back, they have to really dive on top of that. And with Zealots here, it's not safe. +1 attack's already done, by the way.
And plenty more cannons are warping in just in the nick of time here as he's moving forward with some more Hydras. SoulKey's trying to mix it up a little bit, going back and forth and trying to catch SnOw with not quite enough, and he's just not able to do that at the moment.
Right. More Hydras are going to come up here. And as long as these Zealots can basically run in the front, and the cannons fire so fast, by the way. It's so hard to keep up with. He's got 5 gates pumping Zealots. I assume he has Psystorm being researched. I mean, look, the Zerg didn't even really have drones at their third base, or their natural, excuse me. So, you're going to be feeling pretty good. I'm sorry, I thought Psystorm was being upgraded. Templar Archives is just now starting. So, by the way, there does seem to be a trend in this ASL of later Templar Archives and more gateways. Like, people just powering out enough speed lots. Best especially did this.
I'm not too surprised to see that. Like, I like Rain's style personally, like, just stylistically that looks the best to me, but it kind of makes sense. Like, as people get better and better at Brood War, like, more and more important becomes pressuring. Like, we're really, like, I feel like that's one of the biggest fundamental principles of this game is, like, you must pressure your opponent. If you're putting on no pressure, you're getting behind. And by adding those gateways, like, that's going to be one of the easiest ways to put that pressure on.
So he's just going to be hitting these overlords here. This is going to allow a DT to sneak out if he wants. The Zealot count's high enough, man. I mean, he can crash right into these Hydras. You know, it's one of these things where, like, technically the Hydra player, they have a micro advantage because it's melee versus range. But when you get enough Zealots, you better not mess around trying to, you know, kite this. You will end up losing all of your Hydralisks.
You need a serious amount. In fact, you need like 2 groups that you're pulling back, basically. And even this, like, I'm a little bit nervous for SoulKey here. It looks like he's going to start losing a few, but I guess a little bit of damage already on those Zealots helped out. SnOw does have to turn around. 4 High Templars, a Dark Templar waiting at home. And SoulKey just kind of adding his macro on.
Yeah, I mean, look, he looks great. He's got, what, I think that's 8 gateways total. He might go up to 9. The Zerg is in no position to turtle right now. I don't see Sunks anywhere. I don't see Spores up here. It looks to me like he's going to try to move out. He's just going to preempt any mutas. He's making 2 cannons into his main. And I feel like SnOw's going to be in pretty good shape. I think overall he's just played a better game here.
Definitely. He's blocked everything super, super well. You know, starting to bring out some Dragoons. He's going to have to kill at least 1 cannon off here to be able to get them out. Can SoulKey? Yeah. Okay, we just saw Lurker Egg. So I think SoulKey's now going to go in. It's like, okay, he tried the Lings, they didn't work. He tried the Hydras, they didn't work. All right, phase 3, the Lurker Contain. Right? Can he get that up in time, do you think, to keep SnOw back?
That's the big question. I mean, Lurker Contain, even when you're like in a really good spot like SnOw, it's so hard on this map. I don't even have this map ticked in my ladder pool Artosis.
You don't even play. You don't even play.
I don't even play.
Oh man,
I don't even touch it, man, because it's so hard to deal with Lurker Contains on this.
Such a popular map.
Yeah, let's
too.
see. It's good in other matchups, but I mean this one I think it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Nice sniping with the Dragoons. Now if he pushes free, he's fine. There is no Lurker Contain. I think there's going to be a big drop though. I saw a bunch of Overlords.
Maybe.
Are they full?
No, I don't think so.
It can't be, right? There's too many other things on the map here for SoulKey.
Yeah, I think you're right. Is like maybe he's getting ready for it, or maybe even a fake one, force the army back a little bit so he can get a better position. But right now he's just playing very defensively with his lurkers. Is that a hold? Oh, he's got hold position, Tasteless. Oh, Jesus.
He doesn't even know.
The best Psy Storm of all time.
I know. He has no idea how good that Psy Storm was. Just blindly does it.
Oh my God, that's so funny to me. Like, it nailed it, man. It was perfect.
Yeah. No Observer still. He wants to snipe the Templars.
Dude, this is so crazy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, indeed.
Oh
okay,
my
he
God.
finally lets it go. If he only knew that those were all at like 1 health. The Observer is coming in. Yeah. SnOw has started his 3rd Nexus. He's trying to get back into position. SoulKey trying to utilize this to kind of push forward a bit. It seems like SnOw just has enough.
Well, I mean, SoulKey's fighting back pretty nicely. He never got the Lurker Contain up, but he's done a pretty good job of just holding on. A counterattack's going to come down here and hit this base. Can he actually save it? I don't think there's enough Hydras here. Yeah, SoulKey's going to have to turn around.
Has to be careful, though, if SoulKey tries to get up into position. The thing is also, SoulKey, he's only on 3 base. So if SnOw actually gets that mining and stabilizes the game, SoulKey's just going to get really far behind at that point. And in fact, I feel like we're already kind of getting there, where I'm not really digging SoulKey's position. Yeah, he's gone drops. This feels to me like he has been all in for basically the entire game, and the last hurrah is the drops that are going to come out. He's going to do a lurker drop here behind the minerals. So, yeah, that's a good first one. Try to blow up a bunch of probes.
Yeah, I think this is a smart move. He's going to come in, plop these 2 lurkers down here. And here's the question. We don't even know if SnOw's going to see this. A lot of times you're so busy focusing on your army. Oh my god, he's doing so much damage up here.
Yeah, that is a lot of probes going down. I mean, it only takes 2 hits, and you're killing everything in the line. He killed 12 probes minimum with that lurker, and then the other one had some kills too. So that was a huge amount of workers that went down. But don't forget, he's only on 3 base. SoulKey is only on 3 base. So, like, he needs this type of damage. SnOw has a way bigger army.
Yeah, there's no world where you're supposed to be 3 base versus 3 base. Like, it's a Zerg. You need to have more bases. You're supposed to be with a finished 4th base. I think he feels like he just can't take it, so he's going to try to take a fight here. This should favor SnOw. I love the lurker drop. Again, if he loses too many probes, that's another way to just kind of get zoned out of this game.
Yeah. Loses a fair amount of probes there, and that's going to be a lot of lost mining time as well. Looks like he might be setting up yet another drop, maybe even some Hydras in that drop to draw cannon fire.
It's a really annoying style to play against.
For
what
sure.
SoulKey's doing, because you're basically doing everything right, but like, you know, if you're not paying attention, it does take some time for the lurkers to bro, but like if you're not ready, and like this, you know, lurker just comes in here, I mean, dude, you're gonna like lose all your workers. You're gonna be down to like 20 workers or something in the game.
He is really low on workers right now, and if you set up on a really good lurker defense at home, it's really hard to go in and actually finish that. You know?
Right.
Things like this actually happen. Terran versus Protoss and Protoss versus Zerg are so similar. Because it's like, okay, well, if someone goes in and loses a bunch of High Templars doing drops and kills your SCVs, you're like, well, maybe I should counterattack. But if they're set up well with some extra storms, you might lose on that counterattack. And that's the position SnOw's in. He's lost a lot of workers. He's killed a ton of lurkers. But can he break through the remaining lurkers and win the game with a counterattack? Or does that end up throwing it if he tries?
Okay, he's going to move in. This is so scary, Tastosis. This is like the 3 base timing. This is super dangerous. If it works, it's over and SnOw's out. If it doesn't, SoulKey has no 4th base. He's in terrible shape.
Those storms were insane. He killed so many Hydras with those storms. That was craziness. Bashes through those Hydras.
And somehow has just 3 more Templars merging in with the rest of this army to complete that perfect number 4. A sparse number of probes at the 2 bases, but does it really matter? It seems like SnOw could just start to push out here. Another big attack comes in over here. Some nice storms coming down and blanketing this area.
Oh my god, these storms are just out of control. SnOw, I think, has held everything that SoulKey can throw at him. There can't be a backup strategy here for SoulKey. That's it, man. That was everything he had.
I think it's almost over.
Yeah.
SoulKey tried to play a really tight kind of all-in here, and he got a couple swipes in. He got a couple pokes and jabs, but SnOw endured. SnOw powered through. So SnOw is even doing the right adjustments, like making sure Corsairs can snipe any more dropping Overlords. He's got Dragoons on hold position in some of these spots. He's ready for everything.
And SoulKey isn't really honestly ready for anything. He's got like just a medium amount of Hydras here. I don't even know what the play would be. It's got to have something to do with lurkers making the fight too gross or something, but like, I don't think he even has those tools. A mass drop, like, SnOw will just counterattack at this point. I think we're really close to a GG out of SoulKey. Oh, he picks off a couple observers. That's nice. Hey, if your opponent can't see the lurkers, it's hard to fight them.
Yeah, I mean, this is always a great guerrilla tactic to run in there and snipe the observers and just hope that they don't have enough to deal with your lurkers. The problem is that, again, there's so many more resources to mine here from SnOw on 3 bases. And in case you're looking at this game and thinking, man, SnOw's not really doing anything, well, you'd be right. And the reason why he's not doing anything is because he doesn't have to. SoulKey is given no new target that SnOw has to push into. SnOw doesn't want to risk pushing out on the map and being hit by a counterattack. He's just sitting here waiting. He's gonna have more resources over time. And so he's just taking good trades. Every counterattack is getting shut down. He's just continuing to do a good job roaming and dealing with any mess that SoulKey's going to throw his way.
And getting ready right now for that 4th Nexus. Going to be really hard for SoulKey to balance what he's doing here. Maybe drawing this army down and hitting the third with the rest of his army or something like that. Yeah, it looks like he's going to try something like that. There's a lot of cannons. There's a High Templar in there. Maybe if he can snipe the High Templar. Nah, can't quite get it. SnOw very on top of hitting that Psy Storm. And just punishing
it's just about
everything.
time to push.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, what, 9 Dragoons or something? 7 or 8 Dragoons over here with Templars? You're never going to get in here. Hydras can't finesse their way through that fight. There's no agile way to engage with that without just having all your Hydras melt. And once that base is secure, this is where SnOw's going to push. In fact, I think it's happening literally right now.
Ooh.
He's just going to move out on the map. This is a mistake. This is a bad hotkey.
Yeah. All right. SoulKey actually makes a little bit of headway here. He can definitely, I think, cancel this base out if he targets. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He should be able to force the
I think
cancel
so.
there. So that's
He should have just made like 5 or 6 cannons here and then...
Yeah, the move command on the Dragoons was rough too. Like,
yeah, he should have had that with the rest of his army. Somehow that was bound in with another control group.
Maybe he just wanted to do a full attack at that point as the cannons were warping in to support the High Templars, but didn't end up working out that way, unfortunately, for SnOw. SoulKey, is SoulKey ever going to make an... Okay, he is sending a drone down, so he is going to make a 4th base.
Yeah. He will eventually take a 4th base, but right now he's just trying to play a powering game. He wants to try to meet this army in the map and just overdo him. But SnOw has played like one of the most patient PvZs ever. He's just not budging. He's like, okay, well, you're technically losing the longer this game goes on, so I'm just going to let the game go on. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to throw my army away. I'm not going to let you drop me. I'm not going to let you counterattack me. I'm going to sit and, you know, wait and eventually have a 4th base up and running. By the way, I don't know that SnOw has seen this base at the bottom. You could intuit that's one of the places you can take. There's not that many expansions on this map, especially in this matchup. Like, it's pretty hard to hide a base, but I guess he's technically getting away with it right now. But he's gonna stumble upon this now.
He lures them back with those Hydras that were being chased, so I guess that's good enough for SoulKey. We'll be able to defend, bring some lurkers down as well. Great storm right there.
Yeah, that was really sick.
Yeah, any clumping right now being punished just in spades. SnOw pulling back. SoulKey actually has a lot of supply. Like, you gotta hand it to SoulKey. I can't believe he's made this game go on this long and look this competitive. Because I feel like SnOw's been on the brink of winning this game for a long time now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. He's just locked in on 3 bases for so long, just continuing to upgrade and power up. Like, for instance, if SnOw tries to push with everything down the map, then it's going to be a huge counterattack at his 3rd base.
Yeah.
That's all that SoulKey's relying on. And this is all because SoulKey had a pretty shaky start. The Hydra bust failed. The Ling bust failed. So he's just sort of playing from behind. But he's playing like a really intimidating, scary game here. Just being this, like, on top of everything.
Picking off High Templars pretty darn good. He's starting to run out of minerals everywhere, though, which is not something you see that often from Zerg. It's really been an insane game. He's been dictating a lot of it. Unfortunately, the answers from SnOw have been there.
Yeah, I mean, SnOw's just ready to take these fights. The Zerg can't... Mass Hydra can never really attack into a player with Mass Dragoon, Templar, and a couple of Zealots. And you're seeing it right here. I mean, this attack was abysmal. And now he's finally going to come down here and bust this game. We may see SoulKey tap out. There is no way for him to have any more longevity here.
This is the last piece of his attack right here. Once this gets cleaned, I think that's it. He's bringing back the rest of his units. Some rallies are coming out as well. SoulKey just trying to make these Hydras do something. Can't do it. GG. SnOw right now leading 3-2. He's on map point, match point, the point to get to the finals for the rest of the match.
My God, man. What a series so far. This has been some of the funnest PvZs we've ever had. Yeah, look, SnOw's in the lead. He played a really clean game. I think SoulKey had maybe one of the worst early games possible there. But, you know, SnOw was very smart and extremely patient. He didn't attack in. He just sort of waited. Said, if there's no 4th base done, I don't have to do anything. Your turn. You got to make your move. Just kept absorbing all those Hydra attacks, shutting down those drops. He lost a decent amount of probes, but ultimately he was able to control the drops. And then also, you know, remake all his probes and just be very patient. It was a real treat to see.
Very well played game, really on both sides. You know, in another world, SoulKey maybe wins with those initial couple rushes that he pulled off. And in another world as well, you know, SnOw just might not quite block some of these moves that SoulKey made, because he made a lot of strong moves, looking for just a mistake or two from SnOw to capitalize on, and SnOw did not give it up. He didn't give up any mistakes there.
Remember, guys, SoulKey has won the last 3 ASLs. He might be losing this one tonight. It could be a PvP finals. If SnOw can just win one more game, he's going to be in the finals versus Best.
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait for this Polestar game. Pretty normal map coming up. Hoping that we have another long, crazy game. I'd love to go to Game 7. I'm loving these 7-game series. They're just insane.
We've been so lucky this season. We've had so many great parts of this tournament. Yeah, hopefully we can get a Game 7. Polestar, by the way, SoulKey shaking his head, looking a bit concerned. It's got to be a stressful moment here. He wanted to make history. He wanted to win the 4th ASL and then go up against Flash in the finals of next season. But right now, SnOw stands in his way. Guys, we're continuing on in this best of 7, where the winner of this goes to the finals to face off against Best. Okay, SnOw in the top right, and SoulKey in the bottom left. Cross spawns here. By the way, guys, second plug of the day here. Sign up for the Patreon. Patreon.com/ASL English. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. You are legendary for supporting us here on the Patreon. Please consider joining that and help us keep the history of StarCraft alive.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been such a blast, and the seasons keep getting better. The storylines keep getting deeper. Who would have thought a few years ago that we would have someone that we're expecting as much out of him as we expect out of Flash? Like, we literally have a second player of that caliber where we're like, it would be so crazy if he didn't win 4 in a row. You know, that's absurd. It's absurd.
I was wondering for a long time, are we going to ever have anybody kind of move into that Flash territory? And yet, here we are.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's great how good Flash is, but there is kind of a narrative redundancy after a while.
Yeah.
You know, where he starts to win everything, and I go, yeah, this is actually almost not good for the game. We want this to be competitive. We know we want to see if someone else can rise up to the top. And apparently it's happened here with SoulKey. I'm so excited for next season. Fingers crossed that Flash can play. He had some additional issues with his wrists. So he basically announced his comeback, thought he was going to play, and then his wrists flared up when he started grinding again, so we had to take a break.
You know, I do want to mention as well, let's say SoulKey wins this season.
Yeah.
Next season will be anti-Zerg maps, guaranteed. If you recall, when Flash was at his super peak in ASL and making it kind of uninteresting, like SoulKey, well, I wouldn't call this uninteresting, but like SoulKey's kind of doing the same thing Flash did. They made the most anti-Terran map pool anyone has ever seen. Flash gave an interview, and he's like, this is actually what's motivating me right now, is how insane this map pool is. Because it was so... In fact, it was so anti-Terran. If I recall correctly, the only Terran victories other than Flash's victories were against other Terran players, if I'm remembering this correctly. It was that bad.
That's so crazy.
It's when we had Sparkle and Third World and like these maps that... Like, Terran had literally 0% win rate on Sparkle against Zerg, and like... Yeah, just crazy, crazy maps. So I think
Sparkle was rough, man.
They're going to do something gross against Zerg in the next season, I think.
Well, I mean, let's see if SoulKey can actually win here. It might be SnOw moving on. I mean, this is going to be crazy if we got a PvP finals. We haven't had one of those in so long.
Yeah, we've had ZVZ, we've had TVT, but... Yeah, and this season, our only season with 0 Zerg versus Zerg matches.
Yeah, that's true. We never got that matchup, which I feel like every season we always get every matchup. But yeah, somehow we didn't get ZVZ at all.
Yeah.
We went a whole season without ever casting that, which is wild.
SoulKey's the puppet master, man. Doesn't want that matchup to be played anymore. It's outlawed.
Okay, well, we've got 3 hatch here. We don't have a Hydrogen. We don't have a layer. We're still waiting. SnOw is just maneuvering the probe around, just trying to see, are there any surprises, any twists up ahead? And I would imagine SnOw just goes for a Stargate again. Just get the Corsairs out, just scout, play a clean game. We haven't had as many standard PVZs, by the way. I feel like we've almost always deviated from the norm here. SoulKey's tried crazy timings or all-ins. Or, of course, we had that crazy 2-gate game. But, yeah, let's see if this one's going to be more in the realm of ordinary, of standard.
I almost am struggling to figure out what standard is anymore. The amount of mind games that we're seeing,
Right.
like I'm enjoying that, and the fact that these guys are pushing each other that hard because they're so good at these standard plays that the threat of standard play, when you put a mind game into it to kind of switch the narrative of what's going on, I mean, that's where the real danger comes out in these tournament matches.
The probe is still on the move here. Stargate starting up. And this looks like it's a pretty standard game here. We just have the layer coming. SoulKey not doing anything too crazy so far. This is also a map where, unlike Deja Vu, it's much easier for the Zerg to take a 4th base. Deja Vu is particularly challenging. Like, if you're playing a positional game. And it's, by the way, I really learn a lot from SoulKey when I see him just not engage with certain aspects of the game because it's too hard. Like, just not taking a 4th and just, like, basically, like, hunkering down on the 3 bases and daring you to push anywhere else and he'll counterattack or drop you is really interesting.
Yeah. It's something you've already said about SoulKey, is he makes the hard parts easy or whatever. Something to that effect.
Yeah, he just sort of sidesteps the most difficult parts of the matchup. Like, I think any other Zerg in the world in the previous game is trying to throw a 4th down and just getting pushed and dying. He just literally locked into 3 bases and is like, no, I'm going to drop you. And what he wants to do is counterattack the 3rd base and kill it. And then maybe make this weird scrappy game where maybe he can then do a 2nd or a 3rd push onto that 3rd base and win the game. But SnOw was, like, so patient. He didn't blink. He just stood there. You know, if there's no 4th base, there's not a real target that Protoss has to push. So he just sort of waited it out. Lost probes to drops and just rebuilt. Made cannons and dragoons to stop the next drops. Repositioned Corsairs. Really was something to see.
Actually, I'm going to say something that's going to sound really stupid, but it's not quite as stupid as it sounds. Maybe partially as stupid as it sounds, but not all the way. So, like, part of the beauty of StarCraft 1 is how ridiculously complex it is. You know, there's so many interactions, so many different things to take into consideration. But
right,
one of the most beautiful things that we've been seeing is how simple the game can be. And that's somewhere SoulKey really excels in, is taking these games where it's like, yeah, this gets really complex, so I think I have a higher percentage win chance to make it very simple. And it's like, yeah, this is, you know, suddenly it's like, yeah, I'm only 55% to win with this, but there you have it. You know? And that's been so much fun to watch. It's like no real overthinking here.
Yeah, well, let's go back to that first game where he just counterattacked with 10 Zerglings. Like, it looks so obvious. Any other Zerg is just running around trying to shut the Zealots down and getting further behind and overmaking Lings. The fact that he knew after he saw the 3rd Zealot out on the map and he killed it, he didn't even look for the other Zealot. He just ran across and killed the cannon. Like, that's such a... It's so clear he knows exactly what his opponent can and can't do. And that's such an obvious weakness. And then he ended up winning the game before it really even picked up because he just killed the cannons. The Mutas came in and he had Scourge to hit the Corsairs. I mean, it was really an incredible thing to see. And that's all because he sees the matchup as well from the Zerg perspective. He sees it equally as well from the Protosses.
Yeah.
And by the way, SoulKey, this is a guy who plays, if you check his ladder accounts, he's playing Terran and Protoss all the time. This guy off-races more than
Protoss the other
anybody
day,
I have
man.
ever seen.
Yeah. He was literally laddering and I hit his Protoss. I'm like, damn, he's really good.
Yeah, no. He's like at the point where he's just mastering the other matchups from the other races, which I think is why he has these unusual timings. Like, he just knows very clearly what he can and can't get away with.
Yeah.
I remember even finding his account being like, no, this can't be him. This guy only plays Protoss. This guy's playing TVP all the time. And it's like, no, that's him.
Yep.
He's just, he's kind of just, you know, unlocking all the achievements here in Brood War.
Well, let's take a quick look at this game. There are a fair amount of mutas out here, a DT kind of walking around, good amount of Corsairs at home, I feel like SnOw is kind of like blocking what seems to be happening here. He's added some cannons to the front. He's trying to keep tabs on it, but not overextending with Corsairs, which is really important. Is going to be able to pick off that DT. Oh, that's a really nice pickoff from SoulKey. Makes it a bit harder for SnOw to keep tabs on any movement. He has no real vision outside of his base.
Yeah, he's going to go up to 9 gates again. So he's clearly cutting probes. He's getting ready to power up. The Zerg is taking a 4th base at 6. That does change this a lot compared to the Deja Vu game where, SoulKey locked in on 3 bases. Now there is a target. There is a place to go. And this 4th base is not always that pushable. It can be a little bit tough to get in there. Alternatively, we have seen games where Protoss will just push into the natural. That's another great way to, punish the Zerg, is to just kind of hit them at the heart where all their tech and infrastructure is.
Wow. All right, so I'm actually caught off guard by that Corsair micro that we just saw where he killed the Scourge that were right next to him. That was like insanity.
Right.
But yeah, anyways, there's a lot of Hydras that are being fielded right now. He's actually still popping out drones too, so it doesn't feel like he's trying to hit like a timing. I don't think that there is one because there's been High Templars sitting out here for a long time. There's a lot of energy on a couple of them. So I'm looking at this position, and it looks to me like SnOw's got to take a 3rd. I don't think he can attack, but I don't think SoulKey can attack him. And if you're not expanding during a time like that, you're in trouble.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough push from the Protoss. The Mutas are out, by the way, but the Corsairs are here to try to drive them away. He didn't overcommit with Mutas, by the way. 5 is kind of the bare minimum. So he's just going to be staying back. But this push is going to be coming here from SnOw in a second. He's kind of getting to that point. He's got the Robo coming here. Very interested to see he goes up to 9 gateways before getting the Robo. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
That seems to be a very late Robo. Normally the 9th gate is kind of the last building you make, other than more pylons.
The 9th gate.
So I'm curious. Maybe because he saw that there were Mutas earlier, he just goes, I'll get the Robo later. But very interesting to see that.
Well, if I'm remembering my Naruto episodes correctly, I believe the 9th gate is the death gate. So if you go through that one, man, the game is going to end one way or the other.
Ooh, nice storm. Gonna push this back here. The Corsair's doing a lot of work, actually supply blocking SoulKey.
All right, well, the Hydra Lurker kind of is trying to move back and forth and zone this army out. He wants to go after this 4th, but does he have enough storms to actually kill off these Lurkers? Because you can't engage once those Lurkers are burrowed. Yeah, his observatory isn't even done yet. By the way, is he setting up both these bases at the same time? Is he going to double expand? Is that a thing?
Yeah, you can kind of do this.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you expand really late and you're on 9 gates, you just double expo.
Okay.
And usually it's like the main just mines out, the natural mines out a little bit ago, and you just like go from these 2 bases mining to these other 2 bases mining.
Oh.
Yeah. Like he basically wanted to push here. He wanted to come across the map and take a big fight. And you can see already SoulKey's got Lurkers up here. He's not going to be killed. But yeah, I mean, a double expand is completely fine. You got to be careful for counterattacks, though. Especially on a map where you're in cross spawns where they can run around you from either angle.
To me, how this game has been going, I feel like this is very SoulKey favored at the moment. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It doesn't feel great for SnOw, right?
Yeah.
He kind of pushed out. He saw the Lurkers. Like, we still don't have an observer with this army. I'm sure that's coming, but, like, God, this is so late. It's going to be like a 13-minute observer merging with the army. Now, I mean, if he can get out on the map and sort of take some fights, maybe it's going to be a different story, but this is a very turtled up Zerg here. This is like one of these Zergs that's just going to sit on 4 bases and play a real kind of nasty style of just like, lashing out and then running behind defenses. And you can see that happening now. So Protoss is actually pushing down. And ooh, nice storm.
Yeah. Does get that one picked off, unfortunately. Still had another storm to give. Some Lurkers there pushing back those goons that are in the center. I still don't think he can actually attack. Like, he can do the SnOw thing of running up and hitting some cool Psy Storms, but I don't think there's actually, like, a path into real damage.
I mean, I don't know if there's any player in the whole world who's better than SoulKey when it comes to Hydra Lurker. Like, he makes this look so good. Like, he's actually going to try to counterattack up here. Now, look, if Protoss gets up to 4 bases, this is bad for the Zerg. You're going to be even on bases. But this looks like one of these games where we're going to get that Defiler tech out. Oh my god, there's so many lurkers, Tastosis.
That is a lot, but they are clumped up a little bit. He's got a good spread of Zealots here and great Psy Storms coming down. The Dragoons spread out here as well, but wow, that is such a huge amount of Hydras coming in. Has to back up into his 4th base.
That looked pretty decent initially.
Yeah.
You know, it's always a bad thing when you go back to the Protoss' army and it's like just Dragoons.
Yeah.
Like, you need to see Templars and Zealots. Or you see just Dragoons, you're just like, oh, you're going to die now. You do not, you never want to have only Dragoons fighting Hydra Lurker.
It's so
no
hard
probes
to rebuild.
transferred up to that base, by the way.
Yeah. It's so hard to rebuild an army. Ooh, the DTs are actually doing a great job here. But yeah, to rebuild your whole army, like, you need to keep your cost-efficient units. That's why they're cost-efficient.
Right.
And if you're not doing that, then you're really falling behind. In fact, I think SoulKey's going to finish him off here. I don't, like, he's going to get minimum a contain up, which means he can kill the other bases. I think SnOw's dead, and I think we're going to have a Game 7.
Yeah, this is looking really bad. You know, it's a funny thing, too. Sometimes mass Hydras just at the natural is how you kill the Protoss. I think a lot of times people envision wins in this matchup, you know, from the Zerg, it's like you just wipe out bases. If you can push in here and just start to separate everything else, you know, these bases will eventually fall as well here. And, you know, there's so many Hydras coming across the map. The Dragoons just don't stand a chance. The Robo, by the way, is here at the natural. So if he pushes in here and takes out the Robo, that's going to have to be remade. There's going to be no way in the world to recover. You know, he has to get more observers out here. I think SoulKey's done it, man.
Yeah, GG. And that means we are going to go to a map 7. SnOw versus SoulKey. What a match we're having here. I got to tell you.
How lucky are we?
Dude, there's been so many Game 7s that our stupid spiel of normally 5-game series or closer. It's like, no, we're wrong.
It's funny.
It's actually 7 games closer. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, if you have best of 7s, it always goes to Game 7. We did bring this up, and you know, generally it's been true. Apparently not for this season. We're just always going to Game 7.
Yeah.
I have no idea who's going to take this, by the way. I think SoulKey played just a better overall game. I think that the push was very late from SnOw. He never really seemed to have anything to push with or fight with. And it almost seems like SnOw was kind of trying to recreate the scenario from the last game in this game. Like, just slow playing it and taking his time, but it's not going to work versus Zerg that's already got a 4th base up.
Very different game, yeah. And he got kind of stuck out here. If this whole army was in a better concave, like inside the 4th, I think actually this game would still be going on. I don't think he had, like, kill potential because he lost, like, everything here trying to hold.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It looked like he was surrounding the Zerg, and then the screen panned it down, and I'm like, oh, no, he's surrounding you, actually.
Wow. Well, another great game between these two. And was the last map Radion? Am I remembering this correctly?
Yes.
Wow.
It is Radion.
The most standard map to see who's going to go to the finals to play against best.
Radion's a great map. I can't wait to see what these guys are going to do here. Are we going to go right into this game, or do we have a commercial?
I think we have a commercial next. Yep. Quick commercial,
okay,
guys.
Yep.
When we come back,
short break.
Game 7.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 올리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 4%.
A-Town's finest. Yeah, you know we dripping in designers. Tryna stack this cash up, take a trip out to the Bahamas. In the city of the flame, dealing with too much drama. Yeah, you know in December we pulling up in Ghana. Yeah, you know that I'm a real ganja farmer. I really hate to inform you, but this might alarm you. But you're gonna run into some strangers, even on the world is so dangerous. It be the strangers who genuine as life changes. I only had them dreams of greatness. Mama was calling on the phone, said I was patiently waiting. I was patiently waiting. I think I lost my world. I think I lost my world. I was on top of the world. The boy ENG, son of a dawn. If you heard, that's me. After all these years, I matured. All that shit you're hearing from the birds and the trees, it ain't me. But that's why I dropped down to my knees. Cause the only man above could judge me. But it's time to spread the peace. Cause I know you feel the stress. I said it's fuck the rest. That's R-E-S-P-E-C-T. It stands for respect. You wonder why they be talking, pushing pennies for change. Don't wonder why you ain't got no sense. I've been just trying to find a way to get it all in the safe and see if my money come with the test. I cannot stress, you cannot, I cannot look in the mirror, say I'm not the best. Don't mean to flex. I got this ice on my neck, it get heavy when I make my steps. I cannot stress, you cannot, I cannot look in the mirror, say I'm not the best. Don't mean to flex. I got this ice on my neck, it get heavy when I make my steps. A-Town's finest, yeah, you know we dripping in designers. Tryna stack this cash up, take a trip out to the Bahamas. In the city of the flame, dealing with too much drama. Yeah, you know in December we pulling up in Ghana. Yeah, you know that I'm a real ganja farmer. I really hate to inform you, but this might alarm you. But you're gonna run into some strangers, even on the world is so dangerous. It be the strangers who genuine as life changes. I only had them dreams of greatness. Mama was calling on the phone, said I was patiently waiting. I was patiently waiting. I think I lost my world. I think I lost my world. I was on top of the world. The boy ENG, son of a dawn. If you heard, that's me. After all these years, I matured. All that shit you're hearing from the birds and the trees, it ain't me. But that's why I dropped down to my knees. Cause the only man above could judge me. But it's time to spread the peace. Cause I know you feel the stress. I said it's fuck the rest. That's R-E-S-P-E-C-T. It stands for respect. Hold up before you disrespect the name. The boy been working hard through the money, faith, and fame. Don't ever get it twisted. I ain't caught up with the lames. Remember E to the end. I got the game. Hold up, wait a minute. Let me talk for a second. If you ain't got the time, I'ma talk for your seconds. I got more rhymes for you niggas in them sections. Mirror on the wall, you better look at your reflection. Long road, but the future is bright. Long road, but the future is bright. I don't really talk, I fight. I'm passionate for things I like. Long way, gotta sleep through the night. I cannot stress, you cannot, I cannot look in the mirror, say I'm not the best. Don't mean to flex. I got this ice on my neck, it get heavy when I make my steps. I cannot stress, you cannot, I cannot look in the mirror, say I'm not the best. Don't mean to flex. I got this ice on my neck, it get heavy when I make my steps.
Welcome back, everybody. This is it. We're about to close out the round of 4. One more game. We're either going to have a PvP finals or a PvZ. SoulKey, the 3-time ASL champion in a row, which is unheard of, by the way.
Yep.
I mean, StarCraft 1 is so competitive. The maps, the meta, all the stuff changes. It's so hard to stay on top of all that. Only Flash really was able to do it for a long time. SoulKey might be falling out now. SnOw, looking possibly as the greatest Protoss of all time, needs to just take one more game off him. But if SoulKey can survive here, if he can power through, he could just go up against Best, and I think SoulKey is slightly favored versus Best. Would you agree, Aratosis?
I think Best versus Queen, he showed that he can do at least as much as SnOw. The level to which he will do that, can he keep that up stably? I don't know. I think Best SoulKey is a great finals, and I think it's, well, I know now everything's just going to go 7 games. Like there's no way around it.
I can't believe we're getting a game 7 in this other best of 7. I mean, that's just such a treat, man. Look, we're going to be on the map Radion. This is a very standard map. You've probably played plenty of ladder games on it. I don't think there's one clear favorite going into this. I think it's honestly like a great map in almost all the matchups. But this is it, man. One of these guys moves on, the other one's knocked out.
Yeah. Cannot wait. We're going to get this started, guys. Who is going to take it? What's your guess right now, SnOw or SoulKey?
I think SoulKey.
Yeah, I think SoulKey's going to bust him with 3 on Hydra. It's going to be the most anticlimactic garbage ever. SnOw's barely not going to hold. His probes are going to run out, and we're going to see him grab his hair and sigh, a single tear down his cheek as SoulKey moonwalks his way to Title 4.
He's just going to go, this is my whole life is just playing PvZ, dying a Hydra bus. This is so hard to stop. All right, guys, let's get into it. Okay. SnOw here in the bottom left, and SoulKey in the top right. Cross spawns. I'm so excited to get into this game. It's been such a great series so far.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. It really has been amazing. No matter what happens here, this was a great series and just a pleasure. A pleasure to cast this. And like it is so hard to predict too. We've had such a variety of games popping up out of these two. Really feels like anything could happen in this final one. Dark Archon, please.
Dark Archon, please. Oh no, his side's upside down.
SnOw is the crazy
Show us
Protoss.
the crazy Protoss.
You'll never live that down, Tastosis.
So it looks like, yeah, no, I like it. It's funny. Truly, that's what I saw in you, Artosis. I'm like, only Artosis would think something as stupid as Crazy Zerg is a good name, but I just like let you sit with it forever. And one day I confront you, and I'm like, oh, everybody calls it this? Okay. So this is going to be a Forge expand, most likely, because the probe is scouting after going to the natural. SoulKey has not. Okay, so SoulKey's going to go hatchery first, and it looks like it's going to be hatch on 9. Wait, what is he doing? He's sending the drone out. Oh, I see.
Oh, it's just the third base.
It's actually hatchery on 11 here. He's going to make his third base just at a safe spot, because when you go for Forge openings, if you go to the natural, it's very easy to cannon rush.
Yeah.
By the way, seeing him do this is something all the Zergs should just do now. Like, this is one of these openings where yeah, just do it at the third. If it's any map where you can cannon rush, it just negates any of the power that Forge first has.
Okay.
You know, like we saw Best with a great cannon rush earlier. Like the cannon rush is still really strong. If you do it behind the minerals, but to just come in there and go, no, we're just going to go somewhere where you can't cannon rush and we'll be fine.
Okay, but I want to just throw this out there because, like, let's say, because this is how metagames shift, let's say a lot of Zergs look at this and say this is great and start doing it. Once you hit a critical mass of it, Protosses will start countering it by cannon rushing over there. And in fact, there's a second probe going over there right now.
But here's the thing. Notice how he sends his Overlord over the natural. You can't do that. Okay, so here we go. Apparently, that's what's going to happen, Artosis. You're right. So yeah. I don't think you can get away with this, but that's what he's going to go for.
Dude, look how many probes he's bringing up. He's bringing up like 5 probes to fight. This is real. It's going to be a probe versus drone battle. Yeah, this is so far away for the Zerg base. This is actually similar to what happens if there's proxy gates and you send your SCVs to kill it. If they send up 4 probes, you lose. But hold on. He's actually... Dude, he's dealt a lot of damage to these probes very quickly. I don't know if this is going to work for SnOw. Oh, I mean, my God.
I don't think that if this fails, I don't think you can actually win this game. I mean, you have all... Oh, my God. I've never quite seen anything like this before.
Well, probes have the best attack of the workers, but he only kills 1. He loses some probes, and... I mean... That has to be SoulKey advantaged, right?
I mean, this is so bad for SnOw.
That has to be.
Yes. Artosis, yes.
Yes.
This is so bad. He sent like 6 probes on the map and didn't kill anything and had to cancel cannons, and his Nexus is late. I mean, what does the Zerg really suffer? I guess he's not mining with those drones for a little bit, but you just go right to the hatchery that finished. Okay, you'll be drone heavy at your new base. Who cares?
Dude, like, the thing is, I understand trying to pull that off, but SoulKey was so on top of sending those drones down. If he hadn't sent those immediately, he would have been screwed.
I have never seen that interaction before in my whole life.
Yeah.
I have never seen... Like, we were kind of talking about it, right? Like, well, you could, I guess, cannon rush that. But the problem with the third base there is that if you try to cannon rush it, it's like one of these 1998 cannon rushes where you just, like, make it next to their building. You're not putting it behind minerals or trying to do anything really sneaky or exploitative. You're just, like, you know, trying to ooga-booga down the hatchery with cannons right by it. And then when I saw the probes pulled, I'm like, oh, okay, well... You'd have to pull a decent amount, but now we're in a very uncomfortable game here for SnOw. Like, I feel really confident that SoulKey can take this.
Definitely, I'm feeling the same, and I'm starting to think about. I actually hope that SnOw doesn't regret too much trying that if he ends up losing, because that's the type of thing that'll stick with you. It's like, why did I think that would work? You know, which I think is actually reasonable. I think it could have worked if SoulKey had sent a few less drones. Like, SoulKey reacted like a boss, man. He just brought so many drones. It's like how people react to 8 racks nowadays, where it's just so many drones, you just can't do it. You just can't. Like, no one's 8 racksing right now because it's like 8 drones come out and you're screwed. So, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing.
Wow.
He could have, like, I think some Zergs would have sent 4, right? And in that case, like, the probes just win the fight, and it's like, oh, this is just terrible for you.
Yeah.
But that's crazy that we saw that in the last game between these two. That's wild.
They're both so ballsy. It's awesome.
It's crazy. It's going to be 3 hatch Hydras, which sort of makes sense. The Protoss is fundamentally further behind here because his Nexus got up. And so SoulKey's going to take that advantage and basically press it.
Well, we have a Zealot out on the map, so he might be able to get some intel. There is a 4th hatch on the way. The Hydralisk Den is tucked away at the 3rd, which I don't think he can really get to right now. Ooh, gets a drone. Nice start. Nice start.
Yeah, he's going to run into the main here, but the Den is actually at the 3rd base. So he's not going to see that. And there's not even actually gas over here. This is, you know, there's a lot of shadows and mirrors here in SoulKey's base setup. When you see that there's no gas there, you might think that this is actually going to be like someone going 5 hatches or something. You know,
maybe.
Like really just powering up. There's like a almost no tech way to play this game, where you just kind of like make a lot of drones and a lot of hatches and sort of get the Hydras at the last second only to defend. So he may have a bad read on that. So this Hydra rush could blindside him. I mean, again, the gas at the 3rd. I guess it kind of makes sense though because there's more drones at the 3rd base, right?
Yeah. And also, I think it's harder to get something in there. It's more likely to go towards the main. So he sees the Hydras on the way. He's started another cannon. He does have a few Zealots there, so those can help on the defense a little bit. And he's going to get in here and scout and see, like, okay, there's still more hatches coming. So, like, it doesn't seem like this is a super big all-in from SoulKey. It seems like it's a bit more of just a pressure build, maybe. Yeah, a lot of drones are being made.
That's always... Yeah, I think this is smart. He's going to try to put a little bit of pressure up here, and then, behind this he can drone up. He's looking very good. I think SnOw's recovered pretty nicely here as well. You know, he just wants to get this forge out here in the front. It is annoying. It's hard to deal with. I don't know if he was upgrading there or not, but either way he has to restart. So that just kind of delays the whole rollout of the upgrades in the game. So, smart move here from SoulKey.
Well, the Corsair is still trying to scout around and tell him exactly how much he needs. Adds a couple more cannons in there at least. Gonna pop up, see Evolution Chamber is going. It feels like SoulKey is accomplishing a lot more than SnOw, which probably just goes back to all those probes being on the map and the cancel cannon rush and the later Nexus.
Yeah.
It's just like, SoulKey is, I would call this like a step and a half ahead of SnOw.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to quantify to the layman how bad it is to have the probes out on the map and then run back home. Like, failed cannon rushes are already so bad. Like, when they work, they are so good. But when they fail, you're so behind. But the idea that he cannon rushed and then had probes move to the opposite side of the map and then run back, it's like you would not believe how much that slows you down. Now, that being said, SoulKey hasn't missed a beat. Sorry, SnOw hasn't missed a beat. I guess SoulKey hasn't either. He's powering up. He's getting all his gateways out here. We're once again going to go up to the 9 gate. I guess it's actually 8 gateways because the gateway at his entrance was killed off.
It's 9. He went to 9.
Okay.
I see a block of 4, and 1. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's 9 gates again. It seems like that's just the way he wants to play anyways, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is just the way he does it. Again, I'm very interested. He's like getting Dragoon range. He just gets the Robo so much later than these other Protosses, but he's got to have his own justifications for it. I've seen, you know, if you look at like Rain as an example, he gets his Robo much earlier.
Yeah, much earlier.
He kind of has all of his tech, and then he fills it out later with, you know, the Zealots and the Dragoons and everything, but it does seem like each of the Protosses sort of have a different way they develop. Like, when you look at Best, he was much more interested in getting, like, 3 gateways up early on and making a lot of Zealots and Corsairs, and then getting the Templars much later. Ooh, he's got to just try to get through here. He can... Oh, my God, this is so crazy. It's like, just... Go get the Ling, get the Ling, get the Ling.
Dude.
Oh, my God.
That's a killer DT. Oh, yeah. He almost had Overlord speed. That's why he was sacrificing so much. I'm like, wait a minute. You're never going to catch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it finishes up. He does kill it, but, you know, the DT actually did, like, okay-ish considering.
Yeah. So the Spire's done. Now, as that was happening, he burst out on the map here with these Zealots and Corsairs. So maybe he can actually get a kill on this hatchery.
Maybe. Actually, only splits off a couple of them and comes down to flank this group of Hydras. I think that's actually a very good idea. If he can kill off some of these Hydras, then go back with his main force. Because the thing is, all the Hydras together, I think, can fight reasonably well. Now, some Mutas actually hatching for SoulKey. Uh-oh. That is
I mean, he doesn't have enough Corsairs to fight this. It seems like he stopped making Corsairs at 3. You need to get up to 5 with +1. You can get up, so it's one of these weird rules. If you get a Hydra busted, you can make 1 Corsair, or you can even go up to 3. But you tend to not make more than that. You basically use the Zealots on the ground to put pressure, and then the 3 Corsairs can kill Overlords. But 3 is not enough to fight Mutalisks, so he has to turn all the way around. He's going to regroup now because he has Dragoons in with the mix.
The Mutas coming down. He has those Dragoons with the Corsairs. Mutas take a big swipe at the Corsairs. High Templars coming out. SoulKey droning his 4th. We're on a 2-base build here for SnOw. Like, he needs to make something happen.
Yeah.
He doesn't have long to make something happen here.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking pretty bad. He's going to move out. Now, the Mutas are high in number. He wants to hit those Templars. He's got the Corsairs. The Dragoons are doing a great job covering them. He's going to back up. It seems like a lot of this comes down to, like, repositioning the Dragoons and Corsairs to, like, intercept the Mutas as they try to come in.
Yeah.
Like, you can see he's basically trying to guess what angle his opponent's going to come in at and then try to hit that. I think it's only 4 Templars. Am I right?
I think you're right on that, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so that's, you know, not... Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he's just...
I mean, there's quite a bit of Hydras.
He's a bit behind in every way. I like what he's trying to do here, like the way he's walking around. Oh, no. Try to predict where those Mutas were going. Loses. Okay, he keeps 1 alive, but it doesn't even have a Psystorm on it right now. A lot of Lurkers being morphed. It's going to make it even more difficult to get anything done. He does have 1/1 upgrades, but I don't think he has any Forges spinning. There's just a lot of holes in SnOw's position right now.
Yeah. God, that Cannon Rush is going to haunt him.
I think it might.
He's still roaming. And it looks like we might have a fight. I mean, it's a lot here for Protoss. There's a lot of Zealots and Dragoons. He's got a healthy amount of Templars. The Lurkers are not in a position to... Oh, never mind. There's actually Lurkers already up there protecting the 12 o'clock base. I thought there was nothing there.
Well, at least that makes the army less mobile. Maybe SnOw can run around and actually just take good angles. Throws a storm down onto those Lurkers at least, or one of them. Gonna reduce the Hydralisk health a lot on that big group, but didn't quite kill them off.
Yeah, he's not really able to make any headway. You got to be really careful when you're playing a 4-base turtling Zerg. It's really easy to overextend. Now, we know that he's like maybe the best in the world at not overextending, but he needs to get like a lot of good Psy Storms off and just trade really efficiently.
All right, throws some storms down. This is a huge flank of Hydras coming in. This is a real problem right now. SoulKey is trying to kill this entire army. If he can get everything, dude, he's picking off the High Templars so quickly. A decent storm up there to the top. Oh, no, he's losing every High Templar. Oh, God. That is so brutal. That is so brutal.
I think SoulKey might have this Tastosis. I don't see a very sophisticated army for SnOw.
No.
It just kind of seems like this could be, you know, a moment where you're just kind of like 1A, 2A, 3A across the map with everything you've got.
Yeah.
And I think Protoss could be flattened here. By the way, you know, he gets observers very late, and that's been a fundamental issue, especially in this game, is like every time the one observer gets sniped, Protoss can't even fight. You know, Protoss want to have sometimes like 3 or even 4 observers with their army so that, like, you know, they're insured to be able to kill this. But right now, you know, you can see the observers are very far back. Yeah, I don't know. You know, this may be one of the more depressing games in the whole ASL because of the way it started with that cannon rush. Like, we don't really know what SnOw could have done here because he did this insane move I've never seen in my whole life where you send, like, a bunch of probes across the map to fight their drones, and it backfired.
Yeah. That's the big problem. I think the idea itself was okay, but SoulKey already had the counter to that as well, which is shocking. His planning is second to none. He just, like, the 5-pool macro build, the planning for this. GG!
Wow.
And SoulKey, his 4th finals in a row. Holy
Oh my
crap.
God. And he could even get a 5th finals after this. I mean, this is wild. Best versus SoulKey is going to be our finals. SnOw put up a great fight. In the end, it was one of the stranger games I've ever seen. I've never seen a kind of in-your-face cannon rush mixed with, like, send 6 probes across the map. I just have not seen that one. I guess there's still more to learn about this game.
Well, maybe not
SoulKey
from that one in particular.
The camera. Yeah, yeah. And this was like 4 hours.
This was super
long series.
That was a very long series, but a very good series. Really, only that final game wasn't super great, but the other 6 absolutely amazing. And that gives us a Zerg versus Protoss finals, which is, you know, the Zerg versus Protoss games have been out of control. Best looks great in the matchup. I'm excited for this finals, Tasteless. Like, I think Best brings a completely different style to SnOw. More pressure in the earlier portions of the game, and he gets to study everything he saw here. SoulKey didn't hide things. He didn't hide things, you know? He pulled out all the stops, and now Best has time to try to counter that.
Yeah, Best does have a very different approach. Likes to go 3 gates instead of 2 and get a lot of Zealots and Corsairs out here. He kind of plays more to the classic Bisu style. You know, get out there, punch the Zerg in the nose. Kill Overlords, kill Hydras, force them to turtle. Where SnOw's got a very different kind of withdrawn, powering, late observer, but big army push. I guess in a perfect world, he just keeps the one observer alive and has so much he can overwhelm them. But, you know, you see situations like this. Oh, there's his observer. Look at the top left. It's just stuck there. What's it doing?
Ouch.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I remember looking at this and being like, where's his obs?
Missed hotkey, perhaps.
Wow, and so he pulls it back. Oh my God, that's painful.
There's too many Hydras here.
And it's still stuck up there. Yeah. But, you know, if you don't have the Observer, the Lurkers, bro, you have to just run away. Like, you're just going to eat damage. And then the counterattack, I mean, this was pretty straightforward. This was just so much to, you know, plow into the Protoss. Not enough Templars. You know, every day I cast ASL, I think Lurkers are getting better. You know? Like,
yeah. Lurkers are pretty all right.
Lurkers are pretty good, man. You know, even when they're fighting like Dragoon, lets you think they wouldn't be so strong. They're fine. Look at the job done. We're going to go to an interview now, guys. Let's see how SoulKey is feeling. This is his 4th final in a row.
Congratulations. Thank you. Today really wasn't an easy fixture. SnOw was a tough nut to crack with how he prepared. You claim a dramatic victory at the end of a full set of 7 games and move on from the semifinals to the grand final. How do you feel? At first, my hands weren't moving properly, and I worried that I might be losing today. But as I played, my hands relaxed. I had a good showing as we neared the end. There was a moment where SnOw put 3 points on the board first, and you needed 2 wins to get yourself to the finals. What was going through your mind at that point? Right then, I realized the only thing I can do is play straight up. That in order to win, I need to play macro. I think he was too wary of an all-in. So the match ended up going better than I thought. Right. So with this difficult match behind you, Best is already waiting for you in the finals. Taking down these 2 Protosses means you can lift the championship trophy. Best is here. He's watching this in person. SnOw showed up in full force today. This is the first time Best has made it onto the grand final stage in 10 years. How will you prepare for this dramatic, this theatrical match? You know, I personally consider Best to be demanding. So I rather wanted to meet light. I'll have to make sure I prepare well, because it's ZVP. I got the feeling the builds I prepared for today weren't working well. I'll have to do a slightly better job. This match will be at an outside venue, at the Kintex Play Expo in Ilsan. And at this expo, you will have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a 4P. How do you feel about playing outside the studio? I think one of my strong points recently has been that I do not get nervous. Even though the stage will be different, I don't think I will be any different. As long as I prepare diligently, that should be enough, I think. And to the fans who cheered for you, and your colleagues helped you out a great deal, please thank them if you will. For helping me practice, Rain, Mini, Stork, YSC, and Bisu, thank you so much. Calm also tried to help me a little, but none of it registered. I did drop the ball, but it helped me with my confidence. In the last match, I originally considered going for a 9-pull. He told me to go for a side hatchery. I think it's thanks to that I am in the finals. My friends for coming down to cheer for me today, thanks so much. And our boss, Terra, from She9, he's hosting a duet singing competition. Please go and watch that. I will make sure to win the championship. Thank you. Once more, congratulations. Will we indeed see a 4-peat from SoulKey on the grand final stage? We'll find out in Ilsan. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, man. SoulKey's back in another finals. I can't believe it. Whew. This is going to be such a cool finals. Guys, it's going to be at the Kintex Center or Arena or whatever it's called. I don't remember where that is. I'm so sorry. We've cast so many events over here in Korea.
Like
it's on line 3. Thank you.
Maybe something like that. But yeah.
Oh, I do know where this is. Okay, it's like yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, not too hard to get to, but definitely if you're in Korea, try to get some tickets. So we're gonna have SoulKey again in the finals. I think he is the favorite. I think it's silly to ever say anyone's the favorite against him unless we get like a hero or a queen or an action or something like that. These matchups, man, he is so good at. It is insanity.
It's crazy how strong he's looking. He has worked so hard and finally gotten to the very, very top of StarCraft in a way that nobody's done besides Flash.
Yeah. Same level of domination going on. In fact, feels even more dominant from SoulKey right now.
It really does. I can't wait for Flash to come back and see what happens when these two play. I mean, who knows, man? I know that people kind of default Flash into always being the best forever, but never be too shocked when things change.
If he were to come back next season and just stomp SoulKey 4-0 in the finals, man, I think we can just shut the servers off.
Yeah. To quote Tastosis from the MLG days, all kings must die. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a best SoulKey finals. I'm so excited it's this matchup with these two.
Yes.
Either SoulKey wins his 4th ASL in a row, which is insane. That would be 2 years of ASL dominance. That's crazy. Or Best wins his very first ASL. Finally.
His first Star League.
He's been playing since the game's been out. Yeah, his first Star League win ever. Oh my God. So I'm so pumped for this.
And no one
I don't even know which one's more hype. You know, if Best wins or SoulKey wins. Either way, it's going to be crazy.
It makes it a great finals, and I think Best is like playing his best game right now. And we've known forever that his best game is good enough to win a championship. He looked great against Queen. He has a lot to study here to play against SoulKey. He's going to bring a completely different style. I think preparation for this next match is much easier for Best than it is for SoulKey. Much easier.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Guys, that's all the time we have. We'll be sure to get the finals uploaded to you right away. It will be at the Kintech Center. Consider signing up for the Patreon. And Tastosis, any closing thoughts?
That's it. It's going to be a great finals, guys. We'll see you there.